ancient Persia, 486 BC. King Xerxes ruled the Persian Empire, but the man who whispered in his ear was Haman. Haman wasn't just an advisor, he was the Grand Vizier, the second most powerful man in the world. When he walked through the streets, everyone was required to bow. But one day, a Jewish man named Mordecai refused to bow. Haman was furious. He convinced Xerxes to issue an order. On a specific date, all Jews in the empire would be killed. But Haman had a problem. He didn't know Queen Esther was Jewish. Mordecai was her cousin. When he learned of Haman's plan, he sent a secret message to the queen. Then Esther waited. She hosted elaborate banquets. Night after night, she gained the king's trust. Then she made her move. At the final banquet, she revealed everything: her Jewish identity, Haman's genocide order, and evidence that Haman was embezzling from the royal treasury.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 1,000 cities around the world. We just finished 17 years of broadcast excellence. Now in our 18th year. The Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Do you believe in miracles? That God would engineer along with believers those who suffered bad luck and loss and still prayed and believed in God despite the hankering to quit, to at least abide life as a slave to the whims of Satan. When God promised Abraham the land of Israel, following him and no others, and to stand up to human depravity by preparing to win wars they didn't want or seek. When you look at the map of the Middle East, it's hard to find Israel, one of the tiniest countries in the world. After every religion raised the satanic lies to get mobs to murder every Jew they could get their hands on, for thousands of years, God has protected them when they found the faith to fight back with God's guidance. Victories often occur when you see no way to succeed, but refuse to give up anyway. I believe in miracles. Do you? I think Trump does too.
Was furious. He ordered Haman hanged on the same gallows Haman built for Mordecai, a structure 75 feet high, visible across the entire city.
Yeah, when you build your own execution device, maybe rethink your life choices.
But Esther wasn't finished. Haman's 10 sons had copies of the genocide orders. They would continue their father's plan. Esther demanded their death as well. All 10 were found hanging the next morning. When Jewish scribes recorded the story centuries later, something strange happened. In the verses listing Haman's 10 sons, 3 Hebrew letters were written smaller than usual: Tav, Shin, and Zayin. One letter was written large, Vav. In Hebrew, letters have numerical values. The small letters add up to 707. The large letter equals 6. Together, they form the Jewish year 5707. On our calendar, that's 1946.
Okay, it's May 15th, 2026, and we're in Rolla, Missouri, and the Dave Weinbaum Show is officially starting with a picture I'm looking at who's way early, but he must have some amazing news, so we'll go right to him. This is the rabbi coming off. We got other great guests I want to thank Rick Henderson out there in Salem, Missouri, for all the clips and the bits. But let's go right to the rabbi. That's always what I like to say. There's a lot of faith in that. Wartime rabbi just back in the States, buys homes for IDF widows and their kids with your contributions. He's an author of The Secrets of the Hebrew Bible. Please welcome Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. And you're back home in Israel, is that correct?
I am. Why do you think I'm way early? I'm supposed to be on 8:07 your time. It's 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, I know you're early.
You didn't have to. You could have left me hanging. You didn't have to put me on.
Well, I don't like to let people hang because, after you lose your breath, you might die.
Okay.
Or you get pissed off enough to just go away. I try to abide my guests.
If I'm a minute late, you complain. I'm a minute early, you complain.
I'm not complaining. Do you see me complaining?
Roll back the tape. I think he was complaining.
When you were late, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not late, but late. Like you forgot about it, or you thought you got mixed up with your times. Yeah, that's a little aggravating, but come on. You're a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Rabbi should know from the intro song and the story we heard, we don't leave people hanging. That's what happens to the bad guys. So we can't do that.
I'm becoming more and more religious oriented. Not that I'm following the laws that I ought to be following, but who knows? I don't know. Anyways, in a different life. Okay. Still at war. Israel orders more F-35s range as Israel is still being attacked. External they're doing this as an external fuel attachment. That's got to be amazing. What's going on there?
So Israel did order more planes. I mean, from what they keep reporting here in the news, it seems like every day we're thinking they're going to renew the attacks. And I don't know if you've noticed, but every time there's been something significant happen, either the attacks began or someone was killed, like Sinwar or whatever, it always happens on the Shabbat, on the Sabbath. So there's there's high readiness and talk of the attacks being resumed this Shabbat, this weekend. But they keep saying that all the time. But what I heard today is the IDF said they're just waiting for Trump to give them the green light. And I'm also reading that Trump is waiting until he came back from China and wanting to start up while he's in China. But the honest truth is that nobody knows. I mean, I shouldn't say no. There's probably a few people in the know, but everyone else, including myself, are just guessing. But
wait a minute. You're the second most powerful man in Israel.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't know what's happening? That is not what I thought of you.
Yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. And
okay. Oh, no. I still
my son Ezra.
I believe in God, and I believe in Rabbi Moshe Rothschild.
My son Ezra is traveling next Sunday, so he's thinking of moving up his flight so he doesn't. They don't close the airport, so he might move it to this Sunday.
Yeah.
Whatever, we'll see.
Where is he going to be around here? Or?
Well, he's starting in California, and then
because I'm leaving town in a couple weeks.
He's going to be with 4 other soldiers, and they're traveling around America for 2 months.
All right. Well, it's not just it's just not the Sabbath. It's the holidays. You guys got to watch the holidays, and you have a lot of holidays.
We do.
Yes.
Next week is the Pentecost or Shavuot.
Yeah. I'm doing a whole bit today about Queen Esther.
Yeah.
And the prophecy that came from Haman getting killed and all that stuff, and 10 others got hung.
Yep. I've been teaching that since 1980s. I was actually in my class. I had a class on my YouTube channel that went viral, and that was in that class. That might have been one of the reasons why. But,
well, I'm glad you recovered from your disease. So really am. And
yeah.
so, but what was I going to say? I don't know. Anyways, Trump and Xi meeting in Beijing to talk about Taiwan soybeans, doesn't mention COVID responsibility, all cars production in the USA, also, AI stuff. And yeah, it sounded like a pretty good meeting. And I think you're not going to get ahead of doing a lot of stuff before you go to the meeting. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen when he lands in DC, in my opinion.
Did they have military leaders there as well?
Our leaders?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people like that were there. Like, I'm pretty sure the Hexeth wasn't there.
Was General Chow there?
General who?
General Chow.
General Chow?
Yeah, he makes
well, you do know why they don't have any phone books in China?
Because there's I don't know. I give up.
But they're all the wrong number.
My mother-in-law, she's put on a lot of weight. She's got more chins than a Chinese phone book.
Did you write that?
No, that's an old one.
Why don't you write your own material? You can be really funny with your own material.
That's a really old one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so am I. So Trump is going to start talking when he comes back. There's no doubt. There's no stopping him, actually.
Mm-hmm. When is he coming back in the States? When is he supposed to land?
I think they're meeting again today, aren't they?
Oh, if he needs a ride from the airport, I can help him out. I can arrange something.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he gets attacked again, you be there with whatever you got, and they'll never look for you.
Okay.
You know, God forbid. Okay. So the first market reaction yesterday was it to go a lot higher, and it stayed that way all day. And now I think today it's down a little. I don't know. It's hard to say, but the gas is still high here, and people are, the Democrats are trying to take advantage of this. Gee, what a shocker! Right. Yeah, end the thing now. The idiots. Greece, Israel, Abraham Accord. Huh? What do you think?
Look, first of all, back to the gas prices for a second. There's a reason it's called a spike, right? A spike means that it goes up, but it also comes down. And, it's very different than when the Democrats were in power, when it just from day one to the end of the 4 years of Joe Biden, the gas prices doubled or tripled, right? This is not the same thing. It's a spike because of a global event. When that will end, whether it's in a week, or 2, or a month, the prices will come back down to normal. So that's why the Democrats, they can't compare and say, oh, look how high the gas prices are. It's a spike. That's the reality. Global events have effect on there's a ripple effect on a lot of things.
Yeah. And I think I believe Trump says what he's saying. He's dealing with a bunch of fanatics that don't have any power anymore other than to just stall.
Yeah.
And so he's got to go take care of business. Right. What happened when Japan stalled in World War II?
Also did see is that Jason Greenblatt, who was part of Trump's team who negotiated the Abraham Accords, who worked for Trump for 20 years before Trump went into office, I saw him say this week, he was also in college with me. I happen to know Jason. He said that one of the things that Trump does not like that he learned from 20 years is that when people stall, and he has a BS detector that he knows when people are stalling and when they're asking for time.
No doubt about it.
Right. So he says that Trump's patience is going to run out soon because he doesn't like when people are not up front and they're just stalling and they're not really. Now, as far as Greece and the Abraham Accords, that would be incredible. Like, although Greece is not an Arab country, so there is hostility, though, from a lot of the Greek population towards Israel. But in general, we don't have a bad relationship with Greece. But anyone that we can add to the Abraham Accords would be great. I'm, again, very hopeful about Saudi Arabia. Because Saudi Arabia, the biggest Sunni country in the Middle East, that has enormous influence. That Israel is, we share the Red Sea with them. I think Saudi Arabia would be incredible. We're on our third round of talks with Lebanon that I think are beginning today. So, hopefully there'll be some progress.
Now, Lebanon is the problem isn't the prime minister who happens to be a Christian. It's still Hezbollah,
right?
Who is independent, pretty much of what.
I imagine that a lot of the conversation between Israel and Lebanon is about Hezbollah. If it weren't for Hezbollah, I think we would, of course, long ago have signed an agreement with Lebanon.
A lot of things wouldn't have happened if people took certain steps against Hezbollah when they were opened up in 1982.
Right.
And already 241 of our United States Army in their barracks, and if only Reagan would have done something about that, we might have avoided a lot of crap in that particular area and maybe other terrorist areas.
Right. Look, one thing that you can say about Trump is that he doesn't kick the can down the road for political reasons. You had a lot of politicians, or most politicians, if not all politicians, kick the can down the road if it's something they think might jeopardize their approval ratings or jeopardize the Senate or Congress for their party. So they kick the can down the road. Like Social Security, for example, needs to be fixed. But no one's really addressed it because it is not a winning issue. It's not a winning issue. The fact that it's going to go bankrupt in a certain amount of years, it's not a winning issue in politics. It's because there's a large amount of people that are getting Social Security benefits that will be affected with any attempt to clean up the system or to change the system to, say, giving people an opportunity to choose their investments with their Social Security, whatever you want to do to change it. It's a loser politically. So politicians tend to kick things down the road. But with Trump, like Iran's the perfect example. 47 years, everyone was kicking it down the road till we got to the point where we are, where Iran is close to nuclear weapons.
And everywhere, every one of those presidents, with maybe an exception or so, said they're going to attack Iran. And we're going to get rid of their atomic bombs.
Probably they all did what Trump also did, and I'm sure, is that they took internal polls and they saw that it's a loser issue. But Trump said, okay, you know what? It's not, leadership means making hard decisions.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Right? Even if it's not a popular decision. As I try to tell my kids, what's right is not always popular, and what's popular is not always right. But most politicians don't abide by that rule. They go by what's popular and put the finger to the wind and see which way things are blowing and not leading. They're leading from behind, not in front.
But it's a very short kind of alliance with people that are just switching back and forth depending on popularity. Very, very small.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've been a Jets fan my whole life. I could switch. I could be, it's painful to be a Jets fan,
I know. My tears are forming in my eye.
As unpopular as it is to be a Jets fan, I stick with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't always stick with them. I mean, I moved from Chicago who when I was there, I was a Cub fan, and they never did much to win. Okay, and then I moved to St. Louis, where it was great until they come up and tell us that we got to be giving money to Black Lives Matter on the mounds in the stadiums and stuff like that. We find out what kind of fraud that was. I spent a lot of money on tickets and all that other crap, and I stopped cold. I've been to a few games because I have, sometimes you have a relative in a function there, which I abided by. But I can, and even with the fact that you have to pay now to get them on TV, it's fine. I can look up the day after. And downtown St. Louis is not a great place to be these days.
Right. Well, there's always Kansas City Royals not far from you.
Yeah, well, Kansas City. I don't care about them. I like the football game, the football team, and what they've done. Yeah. Who do you like for football?
The Jets. I'm saying the Jets.
Oh, I thought you were talking about for baseball. So baseball, Jets, Mets.
All right.
You guys be more original. You're in what's supposed to be the one of the capitals of the complete entire world with show business. Jets, and Mets, that's all you can come up with.
It's the mecca of sports events.
Mecca, Jets, and whatever. Anyways, my team that I have always been loyal to since I was a kid, the Boston Celtics, of all things. When I was a kid, I was amazed. 7-year-old kid, I didn't know anything about basketball other than the fact that it was so smooth of these guys because they were passing the ball and they're running and they're shooting based on passing and who's open and stuff like that. Well, we're kind of returning to that somewhat, which is good. But Boston definitely started that because usually you would get your star and he'd run up the floor and he'd shoot no matter what was happening to the other guys. And that was boring.
I know this is not a sports show, but I'm not a fan of the 3-point shot because it took away a lot of the passing. They're just chucking it up from 3 all the time.
Did he just say we're not a sports?
What do you think?
Are you crazy?
I went to the wrong studio again.
What he did again? He's the radio talk show host for sports, and sometimes he can't help himself in here. And I listen, and I love it. I love to hear it because I am a sports person. I love golf. I love you name it, I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Anyways, so and then Greece. Now you mentioned that. They're a little shaky, maybe, but at times during history. Especially in Russia, they participated in some of the pogroms. Did you know that?
Greece.
Yeah.
Look, in the Holocaust, the Nazis rounded up the Jews from Greece, and they were one of the last countries that Germany took, and there were many Jews from Greece who were killed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was Greece themselves. In the early 1900s, late 1800s, in Russia, Odessa, Russia.
That very well could be. I don't know that part of history. I just know.
Yeah, I've been looking at that about my ancestors. You ever look up your ancestors and try to figure out where they were, how they got there? I know your wife was in Poland, her family, and that's an interesting story, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, most of her family on her mother's side were killed during the Holocaust. It was just her grandfather and her grandfather's brother got out, but they were 2 of 6 children. So their siblings were killed, their parents were killed. So, yeah. But my family was smarter. My family left before the war.
You went to Cuba.
Yeah, they went to Cuba. That's right. That's what I tell her. My family was smart, and her family wasn't so smart.
Well, you talk about the weather alone, I guess. Jeez. Yeah, but in Poland, she told me this when you brought her to one of the trips, that everybody in Poland loved their Jews. They were just so friendly. just so nice until
They
the
were
Nazis came in and said, "Where are the Jews?" Oh, there's a family over there. There's a family over there, up there, down there. Yeah, they ratted on all the Jews.
It isn't how it started. When Jews came to Poland literally 1,000 years ago, they were invited in by Casimir the Great, and they wanted Jews, and Jews were very welcome, and they were very successful. They did well, and in fact, in Yiddish, they would say that Poland is like the Yiddish word Polin. Polin means here we will live, here we will stay, and there were golden ages in Poland, but there are two things that are true of Jewish history, Dave. Two things that I can say that are always true. Number one is that any country that Jews find themselves in, at some point, we will be unwelcome there. That's 100% true. The second thing that's also always true is that we are too late to get out. We don't recognize it fast enough. And I was talking to someone yesterday whose parents own a very large house in Israel that they inherited from the 1930s or something. And I said to them, don't sell it. Don't sell it, because I don't know, maybe your kids, maybe your grandkids, maybe your great-grandkids at some point are going to have to run. I'm very worried about the Democrats. I'm very worried about the way America's going and the rise in anti-Semitism, and concerned that maybe in a year, maybe in 5, maybe in 20, maybe in 40, at some point, Jews are going to feel unwelcome in the United States.
Listen, I'm there. I don't feel comfortable a lot of the time. I'm looking around. I got a gun with me most of the time.
Yeah,
and it's not.
It's true. It's not what it was, but it's not at the point where Jews are massively feeling we got to get out of here. But that point could come at some point. So I said to her, I said, "Don't sell it. Don't sell that house, because if it gets to that point, and you're going to have millions of American Jews looking for properties in Israel trying to get out, it's going to be impossible to find one."
There's not a lot of there. It's the size of New Jersey, for goodness sakes.
No, it's your safety net.
Look what's happening in New York City. 2 days in a row, they riot at synagogues and paid for by Hamas and whoever, and Hamas supporters, and
it's unbelievable.
Hezbollah, and the mayor's not really saying that much.
No, he's saying they have a right to protest. That's all he says.
Yeah, they have a right to protest, and they have a right to get beat up while they're getting protested against.
We need to bring back the JDL.
Jail.
Remember the JDL, Dave? Do you remember those days? The Jewish Defense League.
I've been talking to you about this for years.
You're right.
That if anyone in the world gets attacked and the government doesn't do anything, and you've done this in a certain sense, way back in the Olympics in 1972, when they killed a bunch of Jews there. Eventually, those guys were taken out. Right?
The Mossad hunted down one by one all the people of Black September.
That should be happening right now in Australia, another place you've lived in.
Very well, maybe. If it's happening, they're not going to publicize it.
Well, I know that. What do you mean? Who's not going to publicize it?
I'm saying when the Mossad hunted down from the 1972 killers, they didn't publicize it until many years later. So I'm saying if we're in Australia now hunting down those who were involved in the massacres at Bondi Beach, the state of Israel is not going to publicize that we're hunting them down until because it gives the killers a chance to hide and to run. So they want to wait until we've got them all. And then,
well, here's the other end of that. Here's the other thought, is that it shouldn't be right the next day or anything, but you know what? They got to know that they broke they broke with God when they did that, and we have to enforce that, and we have to enforce it so people know.
They should be looking over their shoulders.
Exactly. They should be thinking, okay, we're going to get away with this because the Jews ain't going to do anything. Right. That's what they're thinking, and you know that. And you can see it in the Middle East. That's their attitude. These cowards. They're nobodies. They're convinced that they can kill any Jew they want to anytime, except lately.
Right.
You think they're convinced of that now? No.
Right. I don't think it's the attitude of the Middle East anymore. Israel's, but I think in the diaspora, Jews, like, they had a counter march. 200 people showed up. It's nothing, and there's millions of Jews in New York, and 200 people showed up. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
And the Muslims will get hundreds of people literally every single day.
Well, a lot of them are getting paid too. I don't know if they're paying the Jews.
Yeah, it could be also they don't have jobs. But
well, that's their job. They get paid to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, probably by George Soros.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of proven, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyhow, Israel's stand on AI. This is a big issue with China and others, even on this show, saying the AIs are going to have all these huge factories, and they're going to use up all the electricity because all the computers you need. I got the great Jewish lover Mark McCloskey on later on today, who's going to lecture me again on the evil of AI, and it's going to take over the world. It's going to take over all the humans, and if they're going to commit all sorts of crimes against us, the AI is going to take over. What do you thought? What are your thoughts on that?
There's already movies about that. And at the moment, it's science fiction, but I guess it could happen.
Anything can happen we know that anything can happen, but and it sounds like he's reasonable about this. He says 100% of the area, and one of them is a farm he owns. They're building it, and 100% of the people there don't want it and are up in arms about it, about building these AI factories.
I mean, they're up in farms.
And they probably called Grok to say, to ask him, what do we do? You better get out of there, buddy. Patricia Odin Maxwell, Rabbi Moshe, we sure enjoyed your trip to City of Light and Life Ministries. And are we close to time here, I guess?
That was fantastic. I enjoyed it very much.
Yes.
Thank
All right.
you.
So, other than Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people contribute and buy your book, Secrets of the Hebrew Bible? And do you have another book out?
Not yet. I've maybe this summer, maybe September. Okay. It's I write a bit every week, but they can go to secretsofthehebrewbible.org, and they can
great book.
You can go to our website, israelalliance.org, or facebook.com/Global Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
And remember this, always remember this: small Chinese lumberjack chops stick. That ain't know from Funny Doing. I just love to do that for him. See, that's Jewish right there. And that's Eddie Murphy being Jewish.
And a Chinese Jewish lawyer. You know what they call him?
Mixed up?
Chop suey.
Chop suey, close enough.
That was original. That was
I sit and tell jokes all day, but I got a commercial I got to do. Anyways, Heidi Onitz and the kids, okay?
You got it. Take care, guys.
All right. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, that's the rabbi we got coming up. We have JJ Bradshaw coming up in a couple minutes. We're going to do some commercials. Please buy stuff where they're advertising, and we'll be back in a little bit. Bye-bye.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Bob Willis, an author and a writer, and I write nature books. I live here in a ranch on the Ozarks and have published many books over 2 decades of writing. The Trout Adventure series of books was about traveling the world with a camera and a fly rod. The Last Buffalo in Kansas is a true story about one family's journey through 100 years of American history. A couple of years ago, I decided to write a children's nature series of books. 2 of those books have been published. The Adventures of Dog is a story about a puppy that grows up on a ranch in the Ozarks and has fabulous adventures. The Adventures of the Cats R Us Gang is about a group of cats that band together to protect the ranch from a dastardly group of raccoons. Wonderful stories for children, wholesome, about nature and the Ozarks. They're available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and in Walmart even. They're available locally at Reader's Depot. Hey, take a look at them. Thanks a lot.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we're back, and guess who's here? First of all, I got to introduce her, my bride, Lisa Weinbaum. Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Okay, look happy. She hates it. And bride is what everybody is telling me I should use it to be nice, except her. Okay, my wife. Does that sound better? Okay. She's a bucket of joy and happiness this morning. And looking at me right now is a gentleman that's 257 years old, just 7 years older or 7 years younger than the United States of America. And he is a smart guy. He knows everything about the Constitution, helped write parts of it. Used to hang out in a Virginia bar, the only one there at the time, pick up pioneer women with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. And here he is calling all the way from Rolla, Missouri, my good friend, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Hey, Jay, my friend, what's up?
Oh, my. This week has been a heck of a week, hasn't it? I'm going to start with Fetterman. You remember Fetterman was a pretty staunch Democrat for a good long while and recently became an independent. And a bunch of Republicans have been hounding him, saying, your beliefs are much more Republican than they are Democrat, and maybe a little more Republican than they are independent. And why don't you change over? And he said, after the midterms.
Okay.
So, we may get another one in the fold here. I'll wait till after the midterms. I'm fine with that.
But when you first saw him, what did you think when he first come out and he was campaigning?
The guy comes out in a sweatshirt and gym shorts, and you got to say, is this guy really serious?
And he's not saying anything conservative.
Well, no, he was pretty neutral early on.
Yeah.
And then he had a stroke and a lot of physical problems. And I thought, well, that's the end of this guy. But he is apparently healed. And he may be the only voice in the Democrat Party that makes any sense.
I wonder if having a stroke made him better.
Oh, my God, I hope
Maybe
so.
we've discovered something in medical history that should go
Down.
down.
On. I think we need to make a serum out of that and inject every Democrat with it.
Make a fortune.
Yeah.
We'll get millions and millions of dollars. We'll move to New York and they'll break us.
Maybe a couple of bucks. But yeah, his transition has been an amazement to me. When I first saw this guy when he was campaigning, I thought, my God, what a loser.
We were all rooting for Dr. Ox or something, Dr. Oz. We were all rooting for this guy, and turns out probably this guy's better than Oz ever would have been.
Yeah, probably so. Anyway, that transformation is noteworthy to me. Speaking of politics, you remember a guy named Al Green? He looks an awful lot like the caveman from the Geico commercials, was removed from the State of the Union address. You remember this guy?
He's gone.
This is a Democrat from Texas, Zone 18 in Texas. And he's up for a runoff election on May 26th. Texas redistricting may have removed him from politics.
He was ugly from any side you could come from, be it libertarian, be it Republican, be it even Democrats. Got to look at this guy and say, "What the hell is he doing?" But no, they'll never say that out loud. Right?
Oh, yeah. Behind closed doors, he's known as a kook in the Democrat Party and a pretty grouchy old man at that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kooks in that party.
Looks like the new congressional map is going to cause him to be no longer in the Congress.
Can you name any other Democrats that are worthy of being in Congress or the Senate and all that? Maybe even president?
Dave, they get voted in. Would I say they're worthy? No, I think they're crazy.
No, that's what I'm saying. People probably back when when Kennedy was running, John F. Kennedy, and people were kind of between him and Nixon, and he allegedly won. I think a lot of people supported Kennedy, didn't they?
Oh, I think so. I think a lot of Republicans supported him. He had some pretty good
terribly
ideas.
upset about him.
The thing is, Kennedy, he was a moderate Democrat at the time. He would look like a Republican today. In fact, he'd look like a right-wing Republican because his party has gone so insanely left. Marxist, socialist, just DEI crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, certifiably, let's lock him up crazy. And he'd look like a moderate Republican today.
Sure.
So that's how much our politics has changed over these decades. The left has gone further left. The right has gone further right. I'm proud to be right wing. I'm one of the crazies on the right side, I guess. But believe me, I'm not as nuts as the left loonies on the Democrat side.
Well, you're dedicated to it. I would never say you've gone too far to the right. I mean, I don't know what is too far from the right.
Even in our private conversations, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. You're pretty stable.
Yeah, well, yeah, you haven't seen the other side yet. Well, anyway, we're going to get rid of
the other side I saw when I was at McDonald's, and I'm about 2 feet from this truck, this black truck, and all of a sudden he's honking wildly at me, and I still have problems with my left ear. Okay, and that was you. That was a little.
Well, I'm glad I was given the opportunity for you to soil your shorts. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you for that. Yes.
All right.
My wife.
Let's talk for a moment about JD Vance, because JD Vance, our vice president, has been given a lot of tasks by our commander in chief, and one of the latest ones is the fraud task force.
I was looking at that yesterday in Maine.
So was I. JD Vance is not a guy to sit around and let his staff do a whole bunch of stuff. He delegates, there's no doubt, but this is a guy that he thrives on action. And here, just a few weeks after he was appointed by Donald J. Trump to lead the fraud task force, he has just withheld $1.4 billion, that's 9 zeros, from home health and hospice nationwide. When he shut all this stuff down, here's the surprising part. About 90% of the folks shut down did not reapply to get opened back up again. Why? Because they had no evidence they were actually legal firms. So this to me says there's a tremendous amount of fraud in home health and hospice. He's suspended. Now, this is just in LA, okay? He's suspended 447 hospices, 23 home health agencies in LA alone. He estimates that the theft in LA alone was $600 million. This is about 1/3 of the licensed.
Who's got the money there? Is it the politicians or divvying it up with themselves, or what?
No, it's siphoned off. You know how the Democrats work.
I don't know exactly.
They take a bunch of federal money, they give it to their buddies' shell companies.
Yeah.
Their buddies siphon that money off with a promise to get a voting block the next time they're up for re-election. So this thing runs.
I believe they're keeping some of the money. How's that?
Well, I bet they are. You can bet that
these trading. You think what's her name, Pelosi, is giving any of that money back?
No, Dave. No. She spent it on vodka. That money is gone.
That's my kind of girl right there.
Well, no, not your kind of girl. You got a good one sitting next to you, Pelosi. No. You'll catch it. You'll catch a disease from that.
You couldn't be drunk enough for that. Here's my girl right there.
Yeah.
Here's my vodka girl right there. Right next.
Yeah, you talk about a nightmare. That's Nancy Pelosi.
Yes.
I would wake up in a cold sweat if I thought I had to do something with her. So anyway, about a third. Now this is scary stuff, Dave. This is only in California. Remember, Minnesota is the bastion of the fraud. This is California, big old state, big old economy, and approximately 1/3 of those federal funds are siphoned off into fraud. You can bet that JD Vance has got a host of attorneys that are going to be working on this and some forensic accountants.
DOJ.
The trouble is that you and I have discussed it so many times. These things grind along so slowly. I may be dead before we see anything out of this. But I'm glad that there is activity occurring in this. I'm tired of my federal tax dollars being siphoned off to communist, socialist thieves. So, JD, good for you. My hat's off to you if I had one. I think the tinfoil hat's in a drawer here somewhere. But I would remove that yarmulke and say, good job. Good job.
Yeah, yarmulke, look at him.
Well, yeah, I did that in deference to you and the rabbi.
It's either that or kippah, and that's another.
Well, I also talk about shekels too, and I'm a Gentile for Pete's sake.
I thought you were Jewish. I'm sorry. All these
no,
years.
Sorry. No.
All these years. I tell you.
Not in the genes. Let's talk about the Fed for just a minute. Jerome Powell and our commander-in-chief have been fighting for a good long while now, and Trump's been looking for a way to kick this guy out.
I think it's happening, isn't it?
It has happened, yeah. Senate just confirmed Kevin Warsh is now the Fed chair by a 54 to 45 vote. Why is that vote significant? Well, the Senate, we've only got a couple of votes between yay and nay in the Senate. And what this means is that a bunch of the Democrats voted for this guy, apparently to try to get rid of the scandal that has been going on between Powell and Trump. This is more.
They voted against Powell, right?
Powell,
voted for the Republican.
Powell is out. Warsh is in.
Yeah. Okay. That's a big deal right there.
Well, it could be. It could be. The scuttlebutt is that he's going to reduce interest rates. Now, you worry a little bit about that. In an inflationary cycle, you normally kick the interest rates up to cool the economy. If he drops the interest rates a little bit, possibility of a recession in the next fiscal year. Maybe,
I don't
maybe
understand
not.
how that would work. I mean, okay, so he look. Anytime you get something that's costing a lot of people money, and you're going to reduce one of those things, which are interest, I don't understand the math of that being bad.
Well, okay. Keynesian economics, which is what I was taught in school, said that wouldn't happen. The trouble is our economy is meddled with by so many people, including our government. So that plain old Keynesian supply and demand economics really doesn't apply very much anymore because it's been tainted by government interference and
but you got a different guy in there. You got Trump. Trump has been talking about reducing these rates right from the get-go.
Yes,
so with him,
it looks like he may get his wish.
Okay, and then we can have a real happening of that particular strategy and see whether or not it worked.
Well, yeah, apparently that's what we're going to do.
And you might have went to the wrong college.
Well, maybe I went to UMR, and I'm pretty proud of what they taught me. Haven't turned into a raving maniac yet, but yeah, this getting rid of Powell, I think, is probably a good thing. I wish it had been done quietly and behind closed doors instead of the public brouhaha.
Well, he made it a public fiasco.
What's a mess? If you look at the remodeling of the Fed, my God, that thing was a blank check. These folks are so far in the hole on that remodeling. And
wait a minute, here's a guy that's controlling our whole financial country. The financials in this country, he's the head guy, and this SOB gets out there, and he's out there with this thing that's like maybe $1 billion or $2 billion above cost
on a building, for Pete's sake.
On a building, for goodness sake. Exactly my point.
Well,
how qualified does that make him sound?
Trump is a real estate guy, and I'm sure when he initially looked at this thing, he said, "Oh my God, what are you people doing, and who is providing the oversight for this?" Well, there was no oversight. This was the Biden administration. They didn't hold oversight on anything. So give the guy a blank check and say, "Here."
Trump is providing oversight, and he's got a DOJ that's working alongside with him. And the only thing that you said that may or may not be true is this is they're getting to the right conclusions, but do they have enough time?
Well, yes, that's the real question.
Yeah.
The next election cycle, and we got midterms coming up mighty quick.
Gotta do well there. You gotta have.
We have to. You lose the House or the Senate, you're screwed. That's the end of Trump's administration. He's a lame duck after that.
See, I don't know. That's Trump is an unusual character. He defies the rules of previous presidents without really breaking the law.
Dave, you can only do so much with executive orders, and remember, the next regime that comes in can cancel every one of them. So you've got to get stuff through the Congress to make law. Well, but if you've got a Republican Congress right now, barely, I might add, that turns into a Democrat Congress. You're not going to get anything shoved through there. In fact,
if you have good presidential laws, as you pointed out, then you're going to have a big advantage going into the elections. I mean, what was the point of the gas tax going up and stopping drilling and all that stuff? I mean, people realized how horrible that was, putting all these big concoctions up in Kansas and other states out in the ocean, and where they're killing the whales and all that. It's terrible what they did.
Green New Deal, Dave. Huh? You remember when we first read the Green New Deal all those years ago and said, this is the most concocted pile of feces I've ever seen? And Biden administration tried to put it into law, made those wheels turn.
As a one of the things he wrote when he first got in office, as an executive order, or at least got it auto-penned by somebody else.
Yeah, but the Green New Deal, his regime and Obama's before it made those things happen. And look at the disaster that they have become. We're now under Trump a net exporter of energy. We were way behind that on Biden and Obama because they shut all this stuff down. No more federal drilling, shut down Keystone Pipeline, and on and on and on. Their energy policy was a disaster.
And now the MAGAs are all out there saying, save the whales. Us MAGAs, save the whales. Get rid of those things in the ocean.
Well, the fact is, you put a bunch of wind turbines out there in the ocean, you're going to kill some animals. I mean, we do it with bird flocks all the time here. Exactly. It's just insane that these folks managed to push this as hard as they did, then get it to be public policy. Well, Trump has turned all that around and said, no. What you guys have done is an affront to the American patriot, the American taxpayer. And it's time to get our energy house in order. And I think he's done that fairly well. In the next couple of years, I think that you will see that align very nicely with what the economy says should be happening. So he's undoing some of this stuff. But like you said earlier, you only got a couple of more years here. And unless you get a Rubio or a Vance to follow Trump up and continue those policies, all of this is for naught. The Democrats get right back in, they reverse all of it, and we go back to the gulag that we were under Obama and Biden. So,
this is a question that might solve it. Let's say JD and or even Mark, what's his last name? Mark
Rubio,
run for president, and Trump runs for vice president.
Isn't that an intriguing idea?
It's legal, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, he can't run for president a second time, but he can do whatever he wants beyond that.
Well, I'm not even sure that he can't run for a third time because he was beaten in 2020 and they didn't have it consecutively. I don't know that for a fact, but this other thing I think is legal. Anyone out there, call the show and let me know. Send me a message. Call me at 573-578-2700 or
you can also reach us through comment on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble.
Yeah.
You know, McCloskey may very well have the answer to this when you talk with him. I'm no attorney. I'm just a redneck from Rolla. But I don't think that he can serve 2 terms. But as vice president, oh my goodness, isn't that an intriguing idea?
Why not?
Have Trump in the background, poking Rubio saying, this might be a good idea. Maybe we ought to do this.
Yeah.
I love the idea of that.
And it's something that he's not being the king. He's being like the assistant to the new king.
To the new king, yeah. And if you recall, we kicked the Brits out of here because of the king. So,
yeah, right.
Well, all right, Dave. I guess I'm done.
Oh well, I wouldn't go that far, but you look pretty sprite to me, and I'm sure you're going to survive another 20 years.
Yeah, I'll survive till next week. That'll be good enough.
Well, I'll be here. I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been my pleasure, my friend.
The pleasure is mine, and let's give a round of applause to JJ Bradshaw. Thanks, JJ. All right, JJ's done, and let's see, what do we got? We got coming up next is my friend Chris Adamo, who is an expert on Marxism and communism, and God knows there's a lot of that happening today. And after him, what was Richard wanted? He called.
Just verifying his time. He wanted to make sure he had it right. So.
Oh, good. Thank God. Okay. Yes, and Richard C. Jeffrey. There's so much stuff. Now, your mom wanted me to watch some kind of a thing last night, and I couldn't find it for the life of me.
She said that Jason Smith had some kind of town hall on. I had no idea where to find it. Maybe it's online somewhere.
No, I'm talking about like UFOs and things like that.
Oh, maybe Flashpoint was talking about it again. Yeah,
Flashpoint.
I didn't get to catch that one either.
And I don't know how to get. I looked it up and I couldn't find it.
It's online. You can also sometimes find it on TV through a couple of different providers. So,
okay,
but it's not a full mainstream thing.
It's kind of a religious look at.
It's a Christian take on politics.
Well, we got some information coming up with our friend Richard, and it's amazing. Now we're going to be talking about, because I have experienced this phenomenon of UFOs about 1981. And I looked at this thing in broad daylight for a good 2 minutes. And suddenly it disappeared, and I knew I was the only one around when this happened, and it was very close to me, and it just sat there. You couldn't see any windows in it. It was all metal. It was shining, and when it disappeared, it didn't make a sound. So I knew that was not something way back in 1981, 82 that probably was known at that time. But then the question comes up. Because I have heard this from people that they at times have felt like they've been approached and or had something inserted behind their ear by UFO occupants. And they have a very, very bad memory of it. They don't have an understanding of how it happened. It's like their minds were played with. And I'm wondering because Richard's daughter went out and thought she saw a UFO, and she took a bunch of pictures of it. When she got home, she showed absolutely nobody about it. Because why? She didn't remember it. And you'd think that would be very exciting, that you had a UFO out there in Chicago area, and it was close enough to be very, very decisively some kind of a saucer kind of thing, space circular built stuff. And so he's looking into that, and I've got a bit that I'm going to play with it that's going to be very, very interesting to that. So speaking of bits, let's get into one or two of those. Let's look at what do you got for Reagan and Carlin? Hit it.
I've got those.
You got those.
We actually haven't had those on in a little while. So
I know. So yeah, listen up. These are pretty funny. Pretty funny.
We would like to pre-board those passengers traveling with small children. But what about those passengers traveling with large children? Suppose you have a 2-year-old with a pituitary disorder. You know, a 6-foot infant with an oversized head. They might tell you you're on a non-stop flight. Well, I don't think I care for that. No, I insist that my flights stop. Preferably at an airport. It's those sudden, unscheduled cornfield and housing development stops that seem to interrupt the flow of my day.
Less than 1 family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding, anyone, no matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat. He'd drive it. Down the road he went. They passed 2 motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy. And his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he said, they're too important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Here is Kamala Harris for president. And here's what the Democrats really...
Boom! Oh, man. You see that? Oh, every single one. Boom! Oh, man. You see that?
Okay, who isn't laughing at that? Okay. So you got, let's talk a little bit about the war. It looks like these guys don't understand what they're doing. They're grabbing, I think, at straws for other countries. It was said, I didn't get to ask the rabbi this, that Saudi Arabia and I think it's AOE. Is it AEO or something like that? It's another Arab country, fairly friendly to Israel, as SA was, and they're probably going to be the next Abraham Accord, and that would be a great pick. And that's where Jews are starting to sign up all these non-crazy Muslim countries, and the crazy ones just ain't going to make it. But my understanding was they were talking about this with Saudi Arabia and another Arab country, that they were going to attack Iran. Can you believe that? I mean, it's not unusual for Muslims to be fighting each other, but
pretty common.
But I think they were doing this in full approval and or planning of Israel, maybe even United States of America.
UAE.
UAE. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. How you feel? I feel better.
I need a nap.
Well,
is there a nap?
You should not have taken 2 nips at the bottle last night at the vodka.
Is there?
I did not have a drink last night. Did you notice that?
We never drink on Thursdays.
We?
But you were not in raw sewage all day yesterday.
Oh, well, thanks for bringing that up to the
I
show.
want the details.
Who wants to hear about that? Oh my God. Okay, she has a house that was separate in our house.
Yes.
Where? In Rolla?
You've been there. You arrived there on our second date when once again.
Yes, it's not our house, it's your house.
It's my house.
Yeah. And you had this problem back then too.
No, that was a different water issue. This one is a backed up sewage issue.
Anyways, I ended up with this story and saying, well, can I move in? I said, yeah, okay, sure. And then my lawyer says later, he says, now, Dave, and he didn't know anything about this because he was finishing off my divorce or been a subject of the divorce that went on about 1.5 years earlier than that. And he says, now, listen, I want you to pay close attention to me. He was working at a place in St. Louis, and we walked over to a restaurant, and he says, listen to me, and this is really important. Whatever you do, if a woman has a problem with her house, like it's on fire, it's got on fire, the plumbing doesn't work, it's just falling apart or whatever, do not let her live at your house.
My ceiling fell into my middle floor. I did not.
I had to sit there, and he was looking at me. He was a mean guy. Let me tell you.
I did not create that for an
He was a mean guy. He was a good friend, but a mean guy.
Okay.
And I says, well, you're too late.
Hey,
you're too late. Guess what? I already did that. He says, I can't tell you on this podcast what he said to me and what he called me. It wasn't a dirty Jew or anything like that. Although he was a pure German. I'm sorry. Were you saying something, honey?
Yes, I said I did not manufacture that situation by any means.
I didn't say that. Even he didn't say that. He said, just don't ever do this.
Suspicious.
Well, how long did it take me to ask you to marry you? That's a story.
Several years.
Well, because I was being cautious.
Slow.
I was pretty cautious about it.
It would have been, when he said that, you should just said either like, oops, or you should have told me that yesterday.
Yeah.
You're about 24 hours too late, buddy.
It was close to that. I mean, I couldn't believe that I thought, how does he know this?
Okay. It sounded like he was tracking your house almost. Like
apparently, yeah. I don't know. Wow. So I was impressed, quite frankly, for him to come up with that at all. We hadn't talked in a while, so because my last divorce was over. So the last divorce I did by myself, pretty much, which worked out really good. He put up a fake legal degree on his office, commemorizing me as a fellow lawyer in the Chuck Tote office in Clayton, Missouri. How's that? Okay. So that's why I like talking to these lawyers. In fact, we got 2 coming up at the end. We got the McCloskeys. Always fun to talk to. Somewhat really nutty, in my opinion, but okay. He's weird.
Interesting to talk to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we had relatives that came down. Very nice relatives. this last week.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a nice visit.
And how did I do as a cook?
Well, you did pretty darn good.
Yeah, and it was
And
they all loved it.
And you did not overcook the burgers. I was very proud of you.
Yeah, and also we had some whiskey.
Yes, we did have
We
whiskey.
had some maple whiskey, which I use on the golf course whenever we get a birdie. If I'm playing with a certain guy, his name is Bob Willis, who also advertises on the show, and he's a big time author, maybe movie maker now. But he's a great golfer. He's taught me so much about golf. It's incredible. But I forgot my train of thought there. But thanks for your help. He's going over there.
No, I was thinking here if we're allowed to negotiate terms for being allowed to drink whiskey on the show, and then I like Lisa's idea of like maybe.
Why couldn't we?
When was our last CBA negotiation? Because I want to try to work in some nap time into the schedule. So
you know what? You know what? I think if we have a really good segment or a really good week, we ought to bring some whiskey in here and toast to it, right? We only take a couple zips when we're out there in the golf course, but I bring an ice-filled container with a bottle of this expensive whiskey. It's like $35 a bottle. But is it good after you do and I had most of the birdies this last week. I mean, this last Wednesday. Of course, I nearly fell over because my back hurt me so bad. But okay, whatever.
We have drank champagne on the show before, but that's around New Year's.
Do we have any comments?
Let's see.
Yeah. I know we had your mom on here.
Yeah, she was bringing up Flashpoint, I think, for the
Patricia Oden Maxwell, sounding good, looking good. Go team! Hey, send me information on how I get Flashpoint, and then what?
Dave,
what?
I told you I found it
FPTV network
on our TV.
We do,
and I taped the one show.
Okay.
So that we could watch it.
Yes. All right. Ooh, that's fun. We're going to be watching about that. All right. Or if you go to Rumble and go to search and start typing in Flashpoint, it should show up immediately. Well, the reason I was having a problem last night because you named a specific show. I mean, it's not your fault or anything. That was on Wednesday, and I couldn't find that. So that happens a lot. And I didn't have enough time because
You rarely look at the Christian channels except for when I turn on Joyce Meyer.
I listen to them. I listen to this the whole thing about Jesus, and
I mean on the TV. You don't see the
I'm
Christian
talking about the
channels.
reels, which are really interesting.
Yeah, this is on the TV.
I mean, even if you're Jewish, it's interesting to see this and tie it into your education as Jews. And the biggest thing that's come out of that is that some Christians hate Jews, and so where does that leave them with their relationship to Jesus? I mean, they're going to heaven. They're trying to get into heaven, and who are they going to see first? They're going to see Jesus. And if they're railing against his fellow Jews all their lives, I wonder what's going to happen. And I don't think that's a bad thing for me to say, because when I get to heaven or get to be trying to get into heaven, I'm going to ask for a conference with Jesus. He would, if he is who he is, you say he is, he's not going to turn me down. All right, he'll be there. Okay, then we can have a talk. And then I'd like to talk to God about it too. Can you imagine getting Jesus and God in the same room? I know, you know what? I know there's a joke involved in that, but I'm too scared to make one. Okay, I'd be damned forever. I might as well say, all right, I understand. I had this joke about Jesus and God, and yeah, I know. I'm done.
Here's the problem, though. You think of the joke, and you go to tell it to God, and you go, "Oh, never mind." He goes, "I already read your mind. I already know what it was."
Yeah, that's what the space aliens do.
Oh,
that's what we're going to talk about. The space aliens. See, I forgot.
Okay,
a space alien was just doing that to me because I don't remember going into the actual facility but maybe I did, because that's what his daughter, Richard's daughter, who brought these great pictures of these space saucer, and she couldn't remember enough to show it to her parents. In other words, she believes and he believes that her mind was messed with.
Yeah, because you would think that'd be at the top of your list, that you'd want to be sharing that right after you had
exactly. And I think it just happened to me.
Who knows?
How's that?
Who knows?
How's that for an excuse, though?
Well,
boy, that's pretty snappy.
Richard coming up at 10 o'clock to talk all about it. So
yeah, we're gonna have that. We're gonna do another commercial right now. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and don't touch the dial.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word? But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Rob Willis, an author and writer, and I write nature books. I live here in a ranch on the Ozarks and have published many books over 2 decades of writing. The Trout Adventure series of books was about traveling the world with a camera and a fly rod. The Last Buffalo in Kansas is a true story about one family's journey through 100 years of American history. A couple of years ago, I decided to write a children's nature series of books. 2 of those books have been published. The Adventures of Dog is a story about a puppy that grows up on a ranch in the Ozarks and has fabulous adventures. The Adventures of the Cats R Us Gang is about a group of cats that band together to protect the ranch from a dastardly group of raccoons. Wonderful stories for children, wholesome, about nature and the Ozarks. They're available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and in Walmart even. They're available locally at Reader's Depot. Hey, take a look at them. Thanks a lot.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we're back on the Dave Weinbaum Show. I want to ask, here's something that just flew into my mind. If, in fact, we're going to see Jesus and or God, and maybe even hell and Satan, if we can maneuver this, maybe we can ask them when we die if we could all get together, Jesus, God, Satan, and Donald Trump, and have Abraham Accords sign-offs on all of them and cooperate with the world and make the world a better place. That sounds really weird. I know. I just thought of this. And sometimes your ideas, they fly away. And it's a hopeful idea, I know. But what do you think? All right, call the show, 573-578-2700, or...
you can also reach us through comment on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.
Okay, next guest will be up very soon, Chris Adamo. And in fact, he's flashing right now. And then we have Richard C. Jeffrey, and finally we're going to end up with the McCloskeys once again for a very, very, I'm sure, great interview. But right now we have this gentleman with us, and he's an expert at Marxism, communism, trying to pass that on in Wyoming, quite frankly, and in his spare time he delivers pizza ads. Please welcome my friend Chris Adamo. Yes, we're holding up the book. The book is Rules for Defeating Radicals.
Thank you for holding that up, JP. And yeah, let's clarify. You keep saying I'm an expert on Marxism and communism. I'd like to think if I'm an expert on anything, it's what to do about them. So we need to clarify that just a little bit.
I didn't think that was necessary to put.
I think these days, trust me.
Are you saying my audience is not smart?
No, I'm saying there's madness out there. Let me just give you one example. You know who the top Democrat for 2028 is right now for the presidency?
Kamala Harris.
You're very close. There's probably the one person that would be more lunatic off the rails than.
Oh, there's another guy that just.
No, this is AOC.
Oh God.
Okay, and this is literally how unhinged things have become. So yeah, you have to clarify things. And I'll tell you what, if you want to talk about the goings on, the totally unhinged things going on, believe it or not, one of the places where it's just at its absolute worst is the great red conservative, totally Republican, gave a higher percentage of votes to Trump than any other state, Wyoming. The things going on in Wyoming are absolutely insane right now. And
well, that was my last question for you. You know, when are you going to fix the rhinos in Wyoming? I mean, that was my question to you. That's the last question I have out of 6.
Well, I'd like to talk about that first, if I could.
Go ahead.
Right now, the way things are set up, for years they had essentially an open primary process in Wyoming. The rhinos set this up so that the Democrats could come in on primary day, and they'd go to the voting booth and they'd re-register as a Republican. They'd vote for the most liberal nutcase Republican candidate, who was a closet Democrat himself, so that you'd have like a 5-way race, and their liberal candidate would get 23% of the vote and win with that. Okay, so that's how they kept pushing the rhinos through. They did that for years. That's how they ended up with people like Liz Cheney representing Wyoming, and finally, a legislator by the name of Jeremy Haraldson, who's, by the way, is also a good friend. He ended up finally pushing a bill through. The rhinos fought it every step of the way. He pushed a bill through that said you cannot re-register as you know, to change parties after primary filing day. Okay, so once the candidates are set for that year's primary election, you can't go in the day before the election or at the voting booth or anything and re-register so you can vote for the opposition party's worst candidate, which is what they were doing. And the rhinos liked it this way. It gave them cover. So he set that up, and it was in a huge uphill battle. He fought a courageous battle, got that passed. So now they're having to come out in the open. And now both the Wyoming Democrat Party and the Wyoming, not the Republican Party, but the rhino contingent in it, are coming out and advocating Democrats crossing over and changing parties between now and primary day just to vote for the liberal candidate on the Republican ticket. Okay, so right now, the way the governor's race is shaping up, you have 2 conservatives running against 1 rhino. Okay, now what's the chance that they're going to split the conservative vote? The rhino's going to win. It's unfortunately, that's what's happened a lot in the past.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Both of these conservatives, they're good conservatives, but they both have egos. They both have ambitions and stuff. So neither one of them is willing to drop out, make it a one-on-one race. If they did that, it would basically be a general election.
Yeah, then you're screwed. So, if you don't get one of them to quit.
But
are they also cooperating, knowing that they're going to lose?
They're not there, but each one thinks that they are the answer. But there's a I'm going to call it a trump card and pun fully intended going on in Wyoming. There's a lady named Rebecca Bextel, and she is running on the Constitution Party ticket. Okay, she is just a diehard powerhouse conservative, and I could tell you a whole lot more about her. And by the way, she's a friend. She loves my book, just to let you know. Anyway, she's running on the Constitution Party ticket. But here's what she's saying. She's telling people the only reason she's running is because if the rhino dominates in the primary, because of the dirty tricks, the crossover votes and stuff, if the rhino ends up winning, the rhino's guy's name is Eric Barlow. If he ends up winning the primary, then she will run against him in the general. Okay. But if one of the conservatives wins the Wyoming primary, she's going to drop out. So then it will be the conservative against the Democrat. And in Wyoming, that'll be a slam dunk.
It's split in 2. Right. I hope it works.
And she's literally right now, she's campaigning on that basis. Here's what I stand for. Here's what I'm going to fight for. But either of these 2 guys will be good. Either of these 2 real conservatives will be good. So if you're going to vote for them, great. If they win, great. I'm out of the way, and then it's us against the Democrats. If the rhino gets in, then it's me against the rhino. And so this is the Wyoming political landscape is like a total upheaval right now because of this. You can't do that. We're the ones that are supposed to cheat and do dirty tricks. You can't do that.
So in the old days when Liz Cheney was elected, did you know that she was a fraud from the get-go, or did she meticulate into this rhino thing?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Back then, for those of us that remember he was a great guy, great American patriot, Rush Limbaugh,
Yeah.
He thought, because he was watching the Democrats trying to make Hillary Clinton the first woman president, and he thought Liz Cheney was the answer to this. Okay, he had her on his show several times, and like any rhino, she knows how to mouth all the good talking points. Okay, so he had her on there, and it was like he was pushing her, and that's how, again, a lot of the reasons she had the name recognition. Her dad had been a congressman from Wyoming. He ended up as Secretary of Defense, and then ended up as VP. Okay, so Liz Cheney, she had the Republican establishment credentials, and again, she was on there with Rush Limbaugh, a good conservative patriot, and so yeah, that's how she got in. At some point, it became obvious to Liz Cheney that she was either going to have to throw in with the Democrats or actually fight a conservative battle. Okay, now she was really good, and I could show you a history of rhinos knowing how to do this. You pick the bills that don't count, and you vote conservative on them. Okay, so it's like the Republicans voting.
You're building up a real good record for a while.
Exactly. During the Obama years, the Republicans on Capitol Hill voted 20-some times to repeal Obamacare while Obama was president. They knew he'd veto that. The minute Trump got to be president and he says, okay, let's have one more vote to repeal Obamacare. Oh, no, we can't do that. Here's why. Here's excuse. You know, we'll let's just see what happens. I mean, one thing after another. But the point is, they all had a good voting record of voting all these times to you know, the repeal Obamacare, uphold the Constitution, blah, blah. And then the moment it counted, they changed. Okay. And this is what Liz Cheney was really good at. Vote for the things that either can't pass or don't matter. And you got a voting record.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I understand that she figured out the best way to cheat, pretty much. That's too bad for the other rhinos. I think Trump is actively pointing out who these people are and trying to get rid of them by having, bringing in guys that are loyal to the country and MAGA.
Just the other day, and I should have put this down in my comments, just the other day, Mike Pence gives this great, stirring pablum speech, typical Mike Pence, about how the Republican Party needs to get back to being the Republican Party. Okay, the establishment needs to reassert itself. We need, what do we need? The Mitch McConnells, you know, and his whole thing was to attack, and here's the term, here's the Alinsky dirty word that they're going to create now, is populism. Okay, populism, it has such a broad definition. It doesn't have one concrete thing. Populism, in this case, what populism means is the stupid shopkeeper, the stupid writer, whatever, on Main Street, thinking that they ought to have their way, when we, the party insiders, the GOP establishment, we're the smart people in the room, and we know how to make a good country for. And you lowly peasants out there, we don't want to hear what you have to say because you're stupid. And so Pence talking about that Trump has turned us into a party of populism. Well, Trump is stupid. His supporters are stupid. And what we've got to do is get these people to wake up so the professional politicians can get in there.
Like him, right?
Like him, exactly. Right. And what do we get from those people? We get pablum. We get excuses. Now, when the Democrats get their leftists elected, they get results. When the Republicans get our establishment conservatives elected, what do we get? We get excuses. And that's what needs to change, and that's what Trump is changing.
Well, and Trump, he went to school back in his first term. He went to school on who he was invited, who he invited to be on his team, and the administration, the vice president, and all that. And look at Bill Barr
well, look at Mike Pence,
and Mike Pence. That's I mean, they all turned on him, and really, and then Biden took over, and well,
Obama took over, but I get your point.
Well, okay, under Biden, I should say. well, both of them are in on getting this guy thrown in jail during both right from 2015 on.
Yeah, they had every plan. They destroyed they almost destroyed General Michael Flynn by ensnaring him in something and essentially using threats against his family to get him to plead guilty to things he didn't do. And thankfully, he's cleaned that slate back out. But as he's been saying, coast to coast, it still is, and we all need to, is that until these people start getting thrown in the slammer for this, and by the way, they were committing high treason. Thrown in the slammer is still the light sentence, okay, if you get my point. Until these people are held accountable.
Could be a death sentence in case you're from Berlin or something.
These people, they literally sought to overthrow a sitting president through manipulations and dirty tricks. And just this past week, James Comey, the FBI director, who himself really, I mean, can I say stake to an anthill would be a worthy, a response to that. But that James Comey came out and said he's still working with people within the FBI to try and undermine Trump. He didn't say in those words, that's my words, but essentially he's still got moles in there. Now, whether he's just bragging or whether he's actually onto this or not, either way, it needs to be looked into, because this is not how a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, a constitutional republic, is supposed to operate. We're not supposed to have these criminals, these liars, these people who weaponized the justice system against their political enemies, in which, like you said, that's the kind of thing you'd expect in 1930s Berlin or in Moscow under the USSR. You know, that's not supposed to be happening in America. And if there's any indication, and there's plenty, that it's going on here, the dirty tricksters need to be rooted out for the sake of not just Donald Trump, but for the sake of every honest American citizen. Those people need to be rooted out and made enough of an example that nobody tries it again.
Yeah, and it's not like they did it on their own. They fortified their lawfare via DOJ.
Yep.
What was the name of the head of the DOJ back then?
Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland. And,
you want to hear something scary? They were pushing Merrick Garland really hard in the last year of Obama's presidency. They were pushing him as the moderate Supreme Court justice that Obama was going to appoint. And that was one of the few times Mitch McConnell did something right. He said, no, and we're not going to have a new Supreme Court justice in the last few months of his last term. But this is how they portray these people. They're the moderates. You know, you hear the term left-leaning, okay?
Yeah.
They're left-leaning. By the way, Dave, you're not right-leaning. You're extreme right. You're hard right. Okay, but they're left-leaning. They're just a little bit off, but you're way over on the extreme end.
Let's put it in there. You're the expert in Marxist and what to do to the Marxists and the communists, and that's where they're at. They're in fact, it's mostly communist.
I could show you. Let's see. There was a guy, Brandon Gill of Texas. He's running. He's a good conservative, and he's running, and he's talking about, here's what the Democrats are about. They're about Trump hate, cultural Marxism, anti-white, and anti-Christian. Okay. When you hear the term Christian nationalism, that's a leftist accusation. Maybe if JD can hold up my book, this is one of the labels that the left uses, is Christian nationalism, because they're going to equate it to Nazis, which was German nationalism. Yeah. Thank you, JP. And so Christian nationalism, they're trying to say that's our version of being a Nazi, okay? And what they're really attacking with all of this is they're attacking Western civilization. Why? Yeah. Because they're promoting the Islamists, and guess who? The Far East government there where Trump was just this last week that's not Christian nationalist. China, the CCP, the Communist Republic of China. Yep.
Yeah.
And so when you hear Christian nationalism as an accusation, that's what that person actually stands for, is the Islamists and the Marxists. It's no more complicated than that.
Sure. Now, speaking of China, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? And the way Trump is playing it, and we all know that they're somewhat of an enemy. Okay,
a lot more than somewhat,
and yeah, but they're not in a position right now to do much about it. They kind of need our help a little bit here,
and that's key
with oil.
That's key. So what I'm hearing is Trump went in there. And by the way, there's an awful lot that's starting to leak out that happened behind the scenes there with Trump's security team and stuff.
I saw that.
It was pretty dirty, the things that were going on. There were intimidation tactics. That kind of stuff would have worked against your George Bush type presidencies. It doesn't work with Trump. If anything, it makes him dig in his heels. So the thing that I'm watching real closely here, and it raises a bit of a red flag with me, but we'll see how it actually plays out. He got Xi Jinping to say he's going to stop sending arms to Iran. Okay.
Yeah.
But then he says also, but Ping wants the Straits of Hormuz open. Okay, now he didn't say he'll stop it and we'll open it. He said this is what he's going to do. This is what he wants us to do.
Well, so, this is a negotiation.
Yep.
And sure, he wants oil. I mean, but he's also agreed to buy United States oil as well. And this is where Trump really excelled.
Yep. That's that 4D chess that they talk about.
The entire world that everybody needs oil. Yeah. And he became the gas station of the world.
And he has political clout because of that. What would have happened if we had and forget the Democrats, like I said, we know that they're out to destroy everything. What would have happened if we'd had a milquetoast Republican in there? A Thomas Massey, Mitch McConnell.
It wouldn't be long before this country was overthrown.
We would at this point, we would be just trying to how much can we debase the United States in order to impress you people so that you'll like us? How much can we betray the American people so that our enemies will like us? That's how your weak-kneed establishment Republicans operate.
Mine might be on a plane and going on Tel Aviv or Jerusalem to live.
Well, and here again, we can talk about how thoroughly we watched Obama and I call it the Biden-Obama cabal, how thoroughly they were betraying Israel during that time. Okay, now you're somehow the enemy of all things good if you support Israel, but when you look at what they supported, Obama, remember the pallets of cash?
Of course.
Remember he gave them the green light.
Who's them?
The Iranian, the IRGC, the Iranian Islamists, he gave them the green light on building the bomb.
Yeah.
So,
and who was the one that gave the country control? Who was the president then in 1979?
Yeah. I learned about that. That was a bit of an eye-opener to me.
Jimmy Carter?
At the time, I was in the Air Force at the time. We thought he was really clumsy and stupid. Okay. Now it comes out, it kind of like people talk about Obama being inept. No, he wasn't inept. He had an agenda that was anti-American, and he was really good at it. Jimmy Carter, now I do think Jimmy Carter was really gullible and naive, but he became a pawn of the Marxists who said, let's work with the Islamists, get the Shah out, and that way we can, because the Shah did bad things, kind of like what we're hearing now, ICE, they do bad things. Well, forget what the illegals are doing. ICE did bad things because they shot a guy that was going to shoot at them. Okay. And this is the same thing they did to the Shah, where anything he did to try and go after the Islamist insurgency in his country, it was, he's killing women and children. He's such a brute, everything. So they throw him out. And look at the monsters. Look at the absolute unspeakable monsters that were put in his place and what they've done to those people for 47 years.
Yeah, and seemingly they're okay with that.
Oh yeah,
Biden and Obama were fine with that.
Yep,
and maybe fine if they attacked the United States with a couple of atomic bombs,
or with the Iranians
country beforehand.
Yeah,
still.
They when you look at the people that they randomly attacked in just the last couple of months, just because they were throwing a tantrum, you think they would hesitate? When you think you have Allah on your side and you can do no wrong, you're invincible, you think you're going to hesitate to throw an atom bomb at an innocent population?
Of course not.
So yeah,
of course not.
And again, if during the Epic Fury, if they hit a school, now the school was full of Islamists who were hiding there. There was IRGC monsters hiding there. But you hit a school, and what did the media report? Oh, we're being told by the enemy that all these school children were wiped out when this got hit. And what does everybody do? Everybody's got sympathy for the phony martyrs. Okay.
Well, don't start threatening people with atomic bombs, and they won't get the fights. What did we do when Japan decided to do what Iran is doing right now, stalling? What did we do?
We said we're going to convince you guys to negotiate.
Yeah, how did they do that?
Boom. Yep.
Boom shakalaka, and that's like 300,000 people killed.
It was huge.
I hate that, but
yeah, some of them were innocent bystanders. But you remember speaking specifically of Japan at the end of World War II, the alternative was a mainland invasion. Do you remember what the estimates were there of U.S. casualties?
Million or so.
It was 1.2 million that they estimated. 1.2 million Americans would be killed in a mainland invasion.
Sure.
And so so unfortunately,
do the math.
We had to use the atom bomb, and there was quite a few Japanese people that ended up thanking us for that in the aftermath, because they were under the thumb of the mad mullahs. They were, some different crazy religion, but they were the mad mullahs. They're the same thing.
Just like the people of Persia, or you can say Iran, but the Persians were, they're the dominating part, and they're getting murdered left and right.
And they still are. They still
are. And then, Trump has a plan for them. Trump has a plan for Iran.
Yep.
A plan for Iran. That's what he. I want my name on that one. A plan for Iran is to have a takeover by the Persians.
Yep.
And get a reasonable government back, like he's got in Venezuela these days. Holy cow! You can fly to Venezuela and take a vacation there now.
Have you heard of the latest Venezuelan attacks on its surrounding nations?
No.
Me neither. That's the point. So if
you almost took me there.
Sorry. All these
peace-loving leftists.
All these peace-loving leftists, that they just care about human rights, etc. Shouldn't they be happy about that? Well, if they were the least bit sincere.
I want to play this clip for you because it's kind of interesting, and it has to do with Jewish Purim, and it's an amazing thing here. Go ahead.
Jewish what now?
Jewish Purim, and
Purim.
Queen Esther. It's in the Bible. Okay, about 400 years ago. Here,
one of the first lobbyists.
Yeah.
The scribes were encoding a date. The pattern Esther established, 10 enemies hanged for attempting genocide, would repeat. And just as prophecy said, it would repeat on October 1946. When Jewish scribes recorded the book of Esther 2,400 years ago, they encoded a date in Hebrew letters, the Jewish year 5707, October 1946. That exact month, in Nuremberg, Germany, several Nazi leaders were sentenced to death by hanging. 2 hours before the executions, Hermann Goering bit down on a cyanide capsule in his cell. He took his own life. That left 10. The executions began just after 1 a.m. And one by one, Nazi war criminals climbed 13 steps to the gallows, the same number of steps Haman built. Each man was asked for final words. Julius Streicher was ninth. He looked at the witnesses. His last words, Purim Fest, 1946. Purim is the Jewish holiday celebrating Queen Esther's victory over Haman. Streicher knew exactly what was happening. He was fulfilling a 2,400-year-old prophecy. Hitler knew it too. In 1944, he warned his officers that if Germany lost, the Jews would celebrate a second Purim. He knew the pattern. He just thought he could break it. By dawn on October 16th, all 10 bodies were cut down. Not 9, not 11. 10 Nazi war criminals hanged for genocide, the same number as Haman's sons, the same crime, the same punishment. The prophecy demanded it. The Hebrew letters in the book of Esther weren't a warning, they were an instruction, an ancient pattern that couldn't be broken.
What do you think of that?
It's amazing. It's also is absolutely predictable. If you get a chance, during our travels the last few weeks, you need to go to the western Kentucky, the town of Williamstown. They have a life-size replica of Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
And it's full of things like this, things where you read some little passing phrase in scripture and you just kind of move over it and you keep going and you find out later there's a whole huge meaning to it. So God keeps his promises. Now it's amazing, but should we be surprised? No.
Well, the Nazis were surprised by this. They're the ones that labeled this as Purim number 2. You know, another Purim. Here we go.
And the one guy knew it, apparently.
Exactly to the date when these guys were all convicted, and 10 of them went to the gallows, just like the people did in 2,400 years earlier.
Yep. Wow.
You know, it's amazing how things like that come true.
Well, what that tells me is that there's somebody in control, bigger than Donald Trump, and I do believe he knows that. I don't think
he knows that.
You couldn't get a bullet catch you in the ear because you turned your head at the wrong second, and the bullet was coming at your brain, and you just that he actually turned his head after the gun was fired, and that's why it missed him. Okay, so you're telling me that he was kept alive in amazing circumstances? Absolutely. Now,
this is in Leviticus, where Moses anoints his brother, and they have Aaron, and it's blood in the right ear.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the right foot and the right big toe. And he had that, Trump. He had that hit him that way.
Yeah.
That looks to me like, and surviving that is such a big deal. It was such an easy shot that
so you have two conclusions to draw from that.
Yeah.
First conclusion is I'm invincible and I can do whatever I want, or God kept me here and preserved me for a purpose. I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm not saying Trump is perfect, but he has been bold about a lot of things. A lot of us, including myself, I'm still frustrated. I haven't seen Hillary and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Obama and the rest of them do the perp walk yet. I'd like to see that, but there's one of two possibilities. Either they're getting away with it, or the chess pieces are being put in place so that when it goes into the courtroom, you're not going to have some leftist DA, some leftist judge, get them all out on a technicality. And then, you can't charge a person twice on the same crime. So I have a feeling that they're setting the pieces in place before they trip the tripwire on them.
Well, and then you got some Republicans who are culpable too.
Oh, absolutely. You got lots of Republicans. Believe me.
I don't know.
Go to
but
chapter 7 of my book is all about the Republicans who are actually doing the legwork of the Democrats.
Yeah.
Okay.
And getting paid for it.
And so this is not a battle of one party versus another. It's one ideology versus another. And just to give you an idea which is which, one ideology says a man can become a woman. So we're going to take your little, 10-year-old daughter. We're going to mutilate her breasts. We're going to genitally mutilate that little boy there to make it, because they want to be, the girl wants to be a boy, the boy wants to be a girl. Okay, we're going to do these things. That's one party. Okay. And
wait a minute. I have never yet figured out what the advantage of doing that is.
There is no advantage. Those poor kids are suicidal.
So why are they
afterwards.
doing it if it doesn't help them get elected? In fact, it helps them not be elected.
It destroys the societal norms. It's just like if you go back to the whole abortion thing, The whole feminist thing, what did they do? They destroyed the nuclear family. The nuclear family being like the bedrock of a thriving civilization. What does Marx need in order to advance? Marxism needs a chaotic, dysfunctional society. Marx knew that you had to destroy the things like traditional morality. Okay, that's what all this stuff accomplishes. It destroys that part. The minute you have dysfunctional families, there's no father at home. The kids, they're all off in liberal lunacy land and everything.
Sure.
The minute you have this, now you don't have good functioning income bearers bringing the money home and taking care of the kids and raising them. Now you have these welfare families and things like this. Well, now I need the government to help raise my family. Remember Hillary? It takes a village.
Sure. Yeah.
Guess who the village was? The village was her.
Yeah, well, her and her ambition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. Real interesting, actually. Because you don't.
We're at a crossroads.
Yeah, and you don't realize that the people that are doing this, they're not out there relying on God. They're not sending.
Oh, they're fighting him.
They're you know, if you look on, you got the flavor, put that one thing on since he's a little late. Put that on with the Andrew thing. We'll play one more thing and then we got to go.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Klavan. Andrew Klavan bit. Yes. Andrew Klavan.
Now, Klavan is the guy that we have these other.
Yeah. Well, just put on 6 and 7.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay.
After the recent assassination attempt on the President of the United States by a leftist, and the previous assassination attempt by another leftist, and the one before that also by a leftist, and the murder of Charlie Kirk by a leftist, and the murder of 2 Jewish people in Washington, D.C. by a leftist, and the fatal George Floyd riots by leftists in Minneapolis, Detroit, Oakland, St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, and Seattle, not to mention the persistent leftist rioting at conservative political speeches, the leftist terrorizing of Jews on campus, and the leftist assault of immigration officers during the performance of their duties. Some of you may have begun to believe that leftism is a murderously violent movement, but to say that is to discount the incidents of violence by right-wingers, like attending Latin Mass or attempting to stop the murder of unborn children, or the riots in Charlottesville, Virginia by right-wingers paid by leftists at the Southern Poverty Law Center. And all across America, there are many right-wingers speaking, even as we, speak, proving the point. So just because virtually every act of political violence in America is committed by leftists, and just because powerful leftist outlets like CNN, NBC, and the New York Times, a former newspaper, platform commentators who justify that violence by claiming the victims deserved it, and just because such outlets also encourage that violence by calling ordinary Republicans Nazis or by blaming the inherent unfairness of life on capitalism or systemic racism, and thereby justifying criminal activity from looting to murder, some people may have begun to feel that leftists are little more than sadistic psychopaths, dressing their vicious brutality in self-deceiving displays of virtue and a torturous abuse of language that makes evil sound good and good sound evil, while simultaneously strangling the voice of their own consciences with theoretical rationalizations in the manner of every low criminal who has shed blood since Cain.
What do you think of that real quick? We're going to...
Real quick, I would say he's absolutely nailing it. First of all, in calling good evil and evil good, this is where they start. The other thing is, and this is twofold. The other thing is silencing us. They silence us 2 ways. They won by brute force, but the worst part is, and I'm going to point back up to my book there, the worst part is they silence us by convincing us we don't have a right to speak against them. When we do that, we cooperate with them.
Other than Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people contribute and buy your books?
My book still available at Amazon. Go there. You do a search on my name, Chris Adamo, or Rules for Defeating Radicals. Still needed. We still need to understand that they don't fight clean, they fight dirty, and this is how we beat them.
I slapped a rope around my dog. It was the leash I could do. And boom. Okay, what do you know?
What do you know from funny, you bastard?
Now, you see, you probably don't like that thing.
I try not to use profanity.
See, there you go. But if you're Jewish, that was Eddie Murphy doing that, by the way, during acting as a Jew in a movie, Prince to America or something like that. So
he sounded Italian to me, but okay.
No, that was a Jewish accent.
That sounded Italian.
Go eat some pizza, all right? Settle down. Okay, thank you.
Keep up the good work, Dave. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you so much. Hi to Leah. Okay, now we got from Chicago, and he's figured out what time he's supposed to be here. He is in the Chicago area. I think he's a Cub fan, I hope. He's an expert on aliens, space people, and who are actually working with humans. Many are 8 feet tall. We're going to put the little thing that you didn't think I found on right now that tells us about this.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to go and get this pulled up so we can share it. And
yeah. So let's hear also for a little applause for this gentleman, Richard C. Jeffrey.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, we're gonna play this first, though. I want this to go on.
Is this the one I sent to you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I actually found it.
I'm going to end up. So now let me share it so we can actually let everybody see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good movement. Okay, there it is.
Physicists, medical doctors, aerospace, some executives, SEALs, military. I'm going to say a sentence that, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely accurate, but I cannot prove it to you with the images, with the documents that our 5-sided building in Washington has. There are 2 sources for over this almost a decade that in the last 2 years have confirmed for me we have been working side by side. I mean, side by side, human, Homo sapiens sapien, with tall whites and Nordics. Those are 2 of maybe a dozen firsthand eyewitness sightings. There's a lot of different extraterrestrial bodies. Engineers, physicists have been working elbow to elbow with tall whites that are 8 feet tall when they are adult. Try to imagine this in your mind's eye. Most humans are between 5 and 6 feet tall. Some men are taller, but 8. And that they say, you get used to it. And one man said to me, engineer, he said, Linda, it's like working side by side with a human who had 5 Cray computers for a brain. Because the discussions with me have been so detailed by people who are tremendously educated with so many details, and said, the tall whites, beginning 3 years after Armstrong walked on the moon, 1972, we started having a space force that has gone with the tall whites and the Nordics to other solar systems.
Okay. Okay.
Physicists.
That's it. Thanks. All right, we're back with Richard.
Okay, that was Linda Moulton Howe, and she's one of the premier investigators of UFO activities.
Yeah.
And I've never had the occasion to meet her, but I know people that have met her, and she's a credible source.
Yeah, and really amazing story that she's got. And she's a psychologist, and that's one of the things that we discussed last week with one of your daughters.
Yes, indeed.
Why don't you go back and redo that? Because now it brings a whole different thing there now.
It does, and it's not just the tall whites in the Nordics, but there are the small grays that people see, and there are actually reptilians as well. So we're dealing with a number of
a reptilian being like lizards.
Yes, similar. Yes, but humanoid in appearance, two arms, two legs, but reptilian.
With better intelligence than we have.
Much.
Wow.
That today, Dave, I want to talk about something that's going to intrigue you.
Okay.
Because you've actually experienced it.
Yeah.
My topic is going to be cigar-shaped UFOs.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but I wanted to get the issue out about your daughter losing her memory. That's kind of spooky, because that could have happened to anybody, including me.
Well, it's been proven that when UFO encounters happen, and sometimes they're close encounters.
Yeah.
Of the third kind, where they right?
I remember that.
Okay, well, when that happens, oftentimes there's a block that's put into a human memory to keep them from being upset by what they've seen.
How do you know that's the absolute thing they're trying to do?
Well, I don't know for sure.
Yeah. They could just say, we don't want this out. It could indict us. It could get people to come after us.
Possible.
All right. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so my daughter had an encounter. Behind our house is a large field, and it goes down the hill, and there's a river valley below that.
Yeah.
And if you travel a little further north, is Argonne National Lab. I can see the tops of the lab from where I.
And what does that do? That facility?
They work on all types of high security projects, from batteries, from space propulsion.
Yeah.
The very fabric of the universe itself. My father-in-law used to work on that. Yeah. And we had many a conversation about it.
Did he say they were using aliens? Space aliens?
He was very tight-lipped.
Okay.
About it.
And
but
told to be tight-lipped, right?
His friends were not as tight-lipped as he was.
All right.
And
what did they find out?
Well, from what I've heard, when I heard from them, is that they're having an ongoing conversation and working with some of these other life forms.
And they're there in person to do this.
Not here at Argonne, but at I think they've had more contact at Fermilab and at the Area 51 facility.
Okay.
In Nevada.
Yeah.
So anyway, my daughter actually saw this saucer hovering over the valley behind our house. And she took out her camera and maybe clicked about 3 or 4 or 5 pictures. Walked into the house and forgot all about it.
Yeah, and that's unbelievable. Almost, it's
well,
just, because she was excited. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, if you experience something like that, it doesn't happen all the time, right? Maybe never.
Well, to me, this is the only thing I've ever seen like that. Although I did see some cattle out that looked like they were stripped and one was the head of a beef cattle and a male cattle that had horns on it, and it was the head just in the middle of the street. Now that could have been something besides a alien. It could have been a crazed kid that did that.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know on that one. But still, this other thing that was just a huge metal tube that was hovering in the air, about 100 yards up. It was incredible.
Don't feel all alone, because sightings of cigar-shaped UFOs actually go back even as far as the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And for those that aren't familiar with it, the Middle Ages is the period between the fall of the Roman Empire and the Renaissance period in Europe.
And the Renaissance would have been what? About 1700s? 1700, 1800s?
Roughly from the 5th to the 15th century.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, cigar-shaped UFOs were seen hovering over the skies of Hamburg, Germany in the 1300s. And people were out in the streets looking at this thing. And Christian monks made detailed sketches of them. And they're still in these very ornate books that they put together as historical books. And I'm sure that there was lots of other sightings of these types of cigar-shaped UFOs, but they really scared the common people to death. And they probably thought that they were some kind of work of the devil.
Speaking of which, does the Bible say anything about this, about the universe, and about the possibility of other life in the universe?
Of course. I've gone over this before.
Yeah.
But let me do it again. There was a war in heaven, and the Bible states, before human beings were even created. Okay.
Yeah.
And 1/3 of God's created angels rebelled against him. 1/3 just decided, no, we're not going with God. They followed a different leader. His name was Lucifer.
Also, AKA Satan, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we've come to know him as.
Yeah.
But Lucifer was the angel of light, and we think of it as something beautiful, but an angel of light could very well mean a being that controlled great amounts of energy.
So it was light and lights out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Either lights or light out, baby.
So that there were.
Are you sure he wasn't Italian, like a mafia guy? We'll have light or the lights out.
No, he wasn't Italian.
Hey, forget about that.
Right. Anyway, so things got really interesting.
Yeah.
When cigar-shaped UFOs started appearing in the United States. And probably the most famous, the most legendary cigar-shaped UFO encounter happened in Aurora, Texas. Okay, and the year was 1897. So one night, a rancher's sitting out on his back porch, and he sees a silver cigar-shaped craft.
How big was it?
It's falling from the sky, and it hits his windmill, and went down in flames.
Yeah.
So several pieces of the craft actually fell to the ground, and then the rancher later said that a small creature crawled out of the debris, and it seemed to be seriously injured. So he said it didn't look human. So when it actually passed away, He buried it, gave it a Christian burial.
Huh?
And also some of the debris had strange symbols on it. He couldn't identify, and he tossed the rest of the debris into his unused well on his property.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was 1897.
Wow. Did anyone else see it, or did he show the?
Yeah, his ranch hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Throw the stuff into the.
I guess in that time you couldn't just call up anybody, because I don't think the phone was. Was the phone? It must have been invented around that time, right?
1897.
Yeah.
I think they were still relying on telegraph, weren't they?
Probably. Okay.
Yeah.
There was some way they could have communicated. This is what I'm saying, without having to walk to the next town or take a horse to the next town or something like that.
Well, what happened was a journalist actually came out, and he made a rendition, a sketched rendition of the craft, and I sent it to Facebook Messenger if you'd like to see it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So you can do that right now?
Yeah, JP's on it right now, huh?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Apparently he is.
And again, you sent it to the show page, right?
Yeah, I sent it to both. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get there then. And once I find it, I will share the screen.
Yeah.
This is the artist's rendition of the crash.
I see. Yeah, I see the cigar thing.
Let me go share it.
Yeah.
Make sure this is the right thing.
Okay.
Nope,
nope.
That's not it.
No, I sent a couple of them. One's a sketch. Keep going.
That's it right there, I think. Oh,
there you go.
Oh, that big?
Yes.
That's pretty big. It looks like a huge baseball bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that thing actually
Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It's not real big, but it's on there.
Well, and compared to the house, you can tell it's huge, and it looks like it must have slid down or something. This was it during a snowstorm?
No, it was. I think it was in the spring.
It's got a trail behind it, and maybe that's just the trail to the house. But I wonder if
it fell from the sky. Yeah.
Fell from the sky. Wow! And did they hear anything?
I'm not sure. I didn't read anything about that, but it must have made some noise when it crashed into his windmill.
Now this is not exactly like the one I saw. Mine was all aluminum, maybe aluminum like metal or stuff like that wasn't used then, but definitely the cigar type thing is pliable. I don't know what the thing. There's like a bulb up there at the front. Maybe that's where they manipulated the spaceship or something. I don't know. And you say it was a tiny little creature that was doing this operation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And nothing else found. No other being inside. Nobody dead inside.
Not that was documented.
Yeah. All right.
Now I'm going to move it on here.
All right. Let's move it on.
I'm going to move it into the 1900s.
Okay.
Into April of 1939, right before World War II, and another UFO, cigar-shaped UFO, happened in Cape Girardeau in your state.
Okay.
Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which just happens to be the birthplace of the late great Rush Limbaugh.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, a local woman gets an urgent call from her pastor.
Yeah.
And her pastor, he said he was asking the whole congregation to gather at his house immediately. So he kept saying that he had something extremely important to show her. So when she arrived, she found the pastor and most of the congregation gathered in the field behind his house, just like it happened behind our house. And a strange cigar-shaped object had actually landed in the field. Okay, so the pastor said that he watched it come down, and it was from outer space. Now,
but this wasn't a crash. This actually just landed.
It's landed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he went on to say that, or she went on to say that 3 strange humanoid beings came out of the object. Okay, and the beings were described as having large, dark eyes, small noses and mouths. They must have been like grays.
Okay.
Larger heads.
Were they tall, small?
Small.
Small, okay.
So the creatures started communicating with the people. And they didn't speak with their mouth. Instead, they used their brains. They spoke telepathically.
Wow.
And everybody understood.
And it didn't harm them in any way, did it?
No.
Were they shocked when they were getting some kind of a voice inside their head?
They must have been.
Yeah, I'd be a little nervous about that.
Communicated that they were visiting from another star system.
Well, did they throw them a barbecue party or what?
No. After 15 minutes of conversing with them, they got back into their craft. The craft rose straight up into the air and disappeared.
Did it make any noise? Do you know that?
They didn't say that, but I doubt it made much.
Because the thing that I was looking at could have fit about 30 people in it, probably, or more. And it made absolutely no sound at all, as far as I remember. Okay, now I'm beginning to wonder if they didn't do something to me in the and take me up there and then put me back down there and make me forget. See, that's where I'm coming from. And I've heard that before. I want everybody here that's listening, whether it's just within your brain or not, I want everybody here to contact me, Dave Weinbaum, 573-578-2700, and tell me if you can remember being inside of one of these or being affected by these saucers and or cigar-like structures, and did they take away memories? Do you remember that what happened to you could have maybe be put on the ship to have something done to you, something a tracker or something like that in your ear? I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And if so, they can go. If they don't, I'm going to go see somebody, because there's a way to get people to remember this. What happened to your daughter? How did she get to remember this?
You know what? It happened a few weeks after, and she was flipping through her photos on her phone, and then she saw the pictures that she took, and she ran into the other room. She said, "Dad, look what I took. I meant to tell you this, but I forgot."
Yeah.
And I said, "How the hell could you forget?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And how many people are out there? Well, raise your hands right now. Maybe I can get it in my mind by not actually. It'll come to me later. Okay. But raise your right hand. And well, if you have no right hand, make it your left hand, whatever. Just communicate to me and how your experience was with a UFO and what happened afterwards. And did anyone go and see somebody who could undo the so-called damage that was being done to you via communication with a space person.
Well, I understand, Dave, that some people are actually brought up into the spacecraft, and they take tests. They take tests on them.
Yeah,
you know,
I've heard that.
And
in
of course,
fact, that creature's right now appearing on this show. He's got to be Mars or something. I'll tell you that. He's laughing. I hope
there's no way to list all the UFO, the cigar-shaped UFO things, and some of them are actually happening today.
Yeah,
as recently as 2023. And I've posted another picture of the 2023 sighting onto your Facebook page as well. And that's the one with the blue background. You'll see it.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking. All right, I got my next guest here, so I'm gonna have to end. This is great. Thanks for this.
Hey, wait, Dave, before you go.
Yeah, take his time. Go ahead.
Listen, if anybody has seen a UFO, or a cigar-shaped UFO, call MUFON, MUFON, and that stands for the Mutual UFO Network. It's a nonprofit located in, I think, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it's dedicated to the study and investigation of UFOs. And you can reach them online, MUFONMS.com.
Okay, I feel a lawsuit coming on because he's supposed to be here, and so I got to get with this. Other than being the sixth man on a Dave Weinbaum show, where can people? Is this you? Yeah, I don't know. Where can people find you and buy your books?
Okay, first of all, my book A is for America is a collection of patriotic poems for young Americans to celebrate our 250th anniversary. It can be bought at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, or you could go straight to the publisher, Liberty Hill Publications.
Yeah,
and that's where that can be purchased. I have a time travel novel coming out called Through the Mists of Time later this summer, and I'd appreciate the support of your listeners.
You're a busy boy. Hey, did you hear about the melon who lied to his peach?
No.
Yeah, he said, "I cantaloupe." What do you know from funny? You do it. Do it.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?
All right. Let's hear it for Richard C. Jeffrey. Thanks, buddy. Hi to your family, okay? All right.
I will.
All right. And next up, we've got two living lawyers living in an amazing house built in the early 1900s. Instead of fleeing, a surprise attack on their domain met the horde of BLMs and Antifa barefoot. They dispersed them with 2 guns and a couple of words, and that was private property. Please welcome Mark and maybe Patricia McCloskey. I know she's there.
Yeah, she's here. You know, she's hiding in the wings. Mr. Chairman, I reclaim my time.
Okay, yeah, you go.
You know what Sigmund Freud said, right?
I'll give you a couple minutes after the show. Of course, you won't be on air, but because you wanted this time slot.
Yeah.
All
right.
You
know what Sigmund Freud said, right?
What? Who?
What Sigmund Freud said?
No, but you're wasting time. I know that.
Yeah. He said sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh God. All right. Give him the crickets. I've been waiting to do this so long.
I got my one-liner in.
Another shot right there. Okay. All right. So while I can see AI information and your claim that AI will put itself in charge of our lives, I just don't see us humans not being in control of our humanity and giving up to them with their type of lawfare. We're going to get scared. AI is going to tell on us. I understand what you're saying, and it's possible that it'll do this, but I can't see us humans not figuring this out.
Well, the problem is that we're human beings and we think relatively slowly and we think individually. Imagine an entity, and there will be entities, and they are technically already, entities that are 1 billion times smarter than the smartest human being and 1 billion times faster in their thought processes, and they know everything about everybody and everything. This is the example I've been using. As of 2027, all cars made in the United States are going to be required to have a device incorporated into them, which allows A, the government to turn off your car if it doesn't like what you're doing. B, it allows the car, not you and not the government, but the car itself to determine if you're safe enough to drive. If the car believes you're weaving or believes you may be under the influence, the car will turn itself off. And the car, as an entity, will be granted the power to determine whether or not it thinks you're safe enough to drive. How long will it be?
It sounds like to me that you're walking everywhere these days.
Well, absolutely. What the biggest problem, well, I don't know if you saw this, in Utah, in rural Utah, they're going to build a data center, 40,000 acres, twice the size of Manhattan, consuming 9 gigawatts of power, which is like 27 times the amount of power that the entire state of Utah currently uses. And what's the purpose of all these data centers? Anybody actually ever talked about that? The purpose is universal surveillance, universal control, and eventually universal slavery. And the people that are pushing these data centers, no one's ever said what the perceived benefit would be, or what we're going to do with a 50% of people that they claim will be These are the people selling data centers, trying to sell us on the idea of data centers. They guarantee us that 50% of white-collar jobs will be eliminated in the next 2 to 3 years without telling us what the potential upside of that would be.
Well, yeah.
Replace that tax revenue.
Why would they even tell you that if they're against you?
I have no stinking idea. And you know what? And I've talked to congressmen about this recently, and I've talked to everybody about it. And just like in Utah, right, where thousands of people showed up for the public hearing opposed to the data center, the 3 commissioners for that county all voted in favor of it. And, we're having on Monday morning, the 18th, at East Central College in the gymnasium, there's going to be a public hearing on Franklin County Commission's consideration of these data centers. And as you recall, a couple of weeks ago, at the public hearing in front of the Board of Planning and Zoning, 100% of everybody present, they used the gymnasium at Union High School because they knew it was going to be a big crowd. 100% of everybody there was opposed to the data centers. And guess what? The data center, the one that's owned by LB Eckelkamp, his property, was approved. Both of them got sent up to the commission, which is then going to vote. Well, it's a 3-person commission, right? The presiding commissioner is a guy named Dave Schatz, who happens to own a piece of property adjacent to the data center. Schatz Underground, who also wasn't elected. He was appointed by Mike Kehoe, the Governor Kehoe, to be the presiding commissioner of Franklin County. 3 people are going to vote on it, and they're all going to vote for it, despite the fact that the people are uniformly against it. And I don't know if you saw Kevin O'Leary on Tucker Carlson's show yesterday, but he was defending data centers, and Tucker saying, well, the people are all against it. And Kevin O'Leary says, no, it was approved by 100%. And Tucker saying, approved by 100%. Yes, all 3 commissioners voted for it. So the hell with the people, right? We need to surveil them. We need to control them. And people, the voters.
Kevin O'Leary, the guy that's Mr. whatever he is.
Mr. Shark Tank, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Shark Tank.
Mr. Shark Tank.
I thought he was like
yeah.
Your wife's speaking?
Yes, she is. She's reminding me that he's promising, or that the data center in Colorado, I think it is. No, this is Utah. In Utah, yeah. The government.
Hi, Patricia. When are they going to let you out of your cage, for God's sakes?
I am not here.
The government there is given an announcement that in 18 months the data center will consume all the electricity in Utah, and the residential customers and the other commercial customers have been given 18 months notice to find an alternative power source.
Like what?
Now, yeah, I mean this, and they're and so O'Leary was saying, well, we've got to compete with the Chinese, and we've got 4,000 data centers in the country right now, 3,000 more under consideration. You know how many we've got? What, 300 million people in this country? China's got 1.4 billion, and they've got a total of 390 data centers, and we're worried about we got to beat the Chinese.
Wait a minute.
For what purpose?
They have 390 of these centers, and so is it sucking up all the electricity in China?
Well, China isn't burdened by things like the EPA. China is building coal-fired power plants like there's no tomorrow, and
so they can get around this.
Yeah.
So why can't we get around this?
Why do we want to have Elon Musk, the developer of OpenAI and all of this stuff? He predicted that AI would cause the extinction of human beings.
Yes,
he recently has revised that to say that he believes
25%.
20% actually said chance of eliminating human beings. And no one even asks, what is the perceived benefit? What is AI for? How is it going to help us? And by the way, if it's got a 20% chance of killing all of us, wouldn't we like to know why we're risking our future?
Yeah. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I'm complimenting you, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
Well, I know it's nice occasionally when we talk about things other than the war in Iran, we get along pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of which, oh no, we'll get to that later.
But here, let me give you a compare and contrast here. We also went up to St. Charles, as you saw in the newspaper, and the mayor of St. Charles, after the public hearing, stood up and said, my job as mayor isn't to do what I want. My job as mayor is to do what the people want.
Yeah.
Even though I don't agree with what you're saying, I'm going to vote for the ban on. I'm in favor of the ban on data centers because that's what the people want. That's what the government is supposed to do.
Why was he saying that he was for it then?
He did not articulate that, but the standard reasons would be money, tax revenue, and lots and lots of it. I mean, these people, they have the ability when building $75 billion data centers to spread a lot of cash around, make a lot of people very wealthy on the short term. And these people are all, selling their souls to the devil, to use the old phrase. But I mean, for a handful of shekels, they're willing to risk the future of humanity. It's crazy, but people do it all the time.
Huh. Okay. So I've got more stuff on that, but you have structures right now like Walmart, these centers, and Amazon's being built. In one of them's already there. The Walmart has been there for a while, and Amazon is building a facility in St. James, Missouri, of all places. 2 of these huge centers are going to be there. Nobody's said a word about it. In fact, they all seem to be welcoming it. Does that not produce a lot of energy, what they're doing there?
I don't know if it produces energy or consume a lot of energy. When I was a Ute, my dad had a 240-acre farm in St. James out on B Highway between St. James and Bland. And, with the Burbus River running through it and beautiful country, nice rolling hills, lots of turkeys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Putting a giant data center or a distribution center in that is, once again, sacrificing the future for short-term financial gain. But the question isn't so much, when you're processing sales and distribution through Amazon, that's one thing. When you create sentient programs that run themselves and have the capacity for determining, and as I always say, if the government is mandating that your car will determine whether or not you're safe enough to drive, how long will it be until that government decides it has a control over you to decide everything in your life? And in China, for example, just like in Israel and a lot of countries now, there's universal surveillance of everybody through high-def street cameras. It's certainly in England that way now too. And that's the first step of universal AI is absolute and total surveillance of everybody under all circumstances. Your phone will be watching you. Your television will be watching you. Every place you go outside will be watching you. Face recognition will know every place you go, everything you say, everything you do, which means they can also control it through ESG, right? You go to your bank and you take out a check. Your check will only work if you buy the things the government wants you to buy with it.
Well, that's already being done.
That is already being done. And I was
how the hell the Trumps had that happen to them?
It's always under Republican administrations when the worst stuff happens because nobody's paying attention. They all think that the government likes us when the Republicans are in. But no matter whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, what the government always does is decrease individual liberties and increase governmental power.
How does this affect your affiliation with Republicans? Does it? Or
there is no Republican Party anymore. I mean, I was out. Patty and I went out to the RNC's winter meeting out in Santa Barbara a couple of months ago, and I was talking to the party chair. But the first speaker was Scott Jennings, who's allegedly the conservative on CNN, right? And I asked him this question. I said, the kinds of people that I represent, people that voted for me, the guys in camo with a big pickup truck and gimme cap and tactical glasses, they feel as if the party has abandoned them. Everything that they voted for Trump for, everything that they voted against is happening. Everything they voted for isn't happening. And they're going to stay home in November.
Everything? All of a sudden, they hate everything about Trump. Is that you too?
All of a sudden, they hate the fact that we're going to have $6 a gallon gasoline. I paid $4.69 for gas yesterday in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's $4.19 here.
Yeah, and people cannot afford that. I mean, when gas is $6 a gallon, the economy stops. When diesel is $7.50 a gallon, the economy stops. Everything you have, from your headset to the flag behind you and the shirt you're wearing, came on a diesel-powered truck.
This has happened all through the history of us having wars where either the fuel had to go to the army, and or the fuel has to be used by the competition and raise. Everybody needs oil. Yeah. There's no doubt about this. And I don't know if the long game that Trump has, it seems to me, is going to work it to where we become the gas station of the world.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
When the price of gas goes up, and the price of gas is up about crude is up about 4% just this morning.
Right.
Well, let's go back to World War II. You probably had conversations with your parents what it was like during the 40s. Everything was rationed: shoes, rubber, paper, fuel, electricity. Every night you had to pull down the blackout curtains for fear that the Japanese pilot.
You had to get under the chairs. You used to go under the chairs, worried about getting bombed.
That's right. Or as we said during the Cold War, right? You'll remember this from grade school, right? We had to go out and do nuclear war drills in the corridors. Sit down with your back against the wall, put your head between your knees, and kiss your ass goodbye. But I mean, is that really something which the people?
You know what? I bet you were good at that too. You had a lot of practice, didn't you?
So I think it's going to be a washout in the midterms, and then the last 2 years of Trump's presidency.
What do you mean it's going to be a washout in the midterms? They're gaining Republican seats unless the Republicans are going to vote against them.
I just think that a lot of people are going to stay home. That they feel as if their vote means nothing, because a lot of people who had never voted before, a lot of people who had never voted Republican before, came out and supported Donald Trump based on
what do the Dems have that you think is going to beat Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Well, Donald Trump he's not running for president the last time I looked.
Yeah, but if you look at everything, even Fox News this morning, that the banner on the bottom was what's Trump's popularity going to do in the midterms, right? And people vote for the party from the top down. All elections are local, as everybody says, but you got to get the people out there to vote. And if you promise them X, but you deliver Y, and they go out of their way to say, I've never voted before, I don't believe that this government has my interest at heart, but I'm going to go out and vote for Donald Trump. And then he says 2 days ago, I don't consider the financial effect on the people in making my decisions. I don't give it any thought whatsoever. When the President of the United States tells me he could care less about what happens to me as an individual because he's going to do what he's going to do, and he's not even going to consider the financial effect on the average human being, that's such a shocker. I can't imagine how we can go forward from that statement.
I would say, let's see where we're at in a month.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I totally agree.
They could be coming to bow at him pretty soon, I think, and say, we're done here. Okay, we'll sign a deal.
Well, here's the thing.
If that happens, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think that the effect of today's oil prices and the 20% reduction in oil delivery that's been going on since February 28th will hit the gasoline market. There's about a 6-week delay between crude prices and gas pump prices. If the war ended today, 6 weeks from now, we'd have the worst gas prices in history. If the war goes on through July, the worst gas prices in history will hit.
Is that what happened in the other wars? The war in Afghanistan, Iraq, did that happen in those wars too?
It did not. This is unprecedented. And by the way, if the Houthis close down the Red Sea when this starts getting hot again, then you're going to lose 40% of all the oil transmission in the world, which is an unprecedented disaster. And it will not hit the full effect. If the war stopped today, will not hit for another 2 months at the earliest. And the people that are talking about the destruction, let's say this scenario. Let's say Trump does what he says he's going to do, and that is he bombs the hell out of Iran again here starting tomorrow. And they retaliate by bombing the oil fields and the desalination plants in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and all the Emirates. And then it'd be 5 to 10 years, they're predicting, until we can get back to normal level of oil production. And millions of people dying, by the way, in the meantime, of dehydration.
So now you're assuming that Iran is well armed still, right? Well, they're going to go after, there was a thing that said that Saudi Arabia and whatever it was, the other Arab country were cooperating with the Israelis. You're going to love this one, to help in bombing Iran.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. But the CIA and multiple intelligence sources said this week that Iran has survived 30 of its 33 missile launch sites in the Straits of Hormuz, and that 70 to 75% of all their offensive capacity has been retained. And the president then immediately says, "Oh, that's not true." But his own CIA told him that, just like Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent told him that Iran had no nuclear program, and he says, "No, that's not true." But if they still have 70 to 75% of their weaponry, their launchers,
well, then one or the other is going to the other one. If they don't have it, then we have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and if they do, we've got a great deal to worry about. That's the problem.
Well, and if they're all lying, and all that money that Biden and Obama gave them to get to this all this ammo is for naught.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it was $1 billion or $2 billion in cash that Obama flew into to Iran. Yeah. We burn that much of American taxpayers' money every day in this war. So that money is, when you start talking about international politics, it's billions of dollars are like pennies to you and me.
Sure, but if it's true that they actually have a war, atomic bomb that or bombs that could bomb us and take Israel out with one atomic bomb, then it's probably, you got to say, worth it.
Well, except that they have no such thing, and killing lots and lots of people and trying to destroy a civilization.
See, we don't know that.
Well,
they keep saying they have it. Then they're asking us to kill them and to completely demolish any chance of them doing. And as a president's got to go with that. I'm not sure where.
You're certainly not going to get me to defend Barack Obama or Joe Biden's administration or their foreign policy.
But I didn't think we went that far.
Yeah, the now recently murdered Ayatollah Khomeini had issued a fatwa saying that Iran was not permitted to have nuclear weapons, and there was no nuclear weapons program. And by the way, when you got Tulsi Gabbard and you got Joe Kent saying the people that are supposed to have the greatest knowledge in the United States about this issue say that there was no nuclear program, and whatever they had was totally obliterated in Operation Midnight Hammer.
I think Joe Kent had a different view of that back in 24.
Yeah, and you know, you learn stuff.
Yeah, they've got it now. All of a sudden, he's saying they don't got it.
And you know what happened in the meantime? He got appointed to a position where he could learn the truth because he was given
So
that.
why would he say the other one if he didn't know what the truth was?
He was probably listening to the same lies as the president, right?
I mean,
there's been an awful lot. There has been, you know, all this talk about Iran being the world's largest sponsor of state terrorism, and they've been at war with us for 47 years, and yet all this is just propaganda. I can go back year by year by year and ask you how many Americans have been killed by Iranians.
Yeah, I can look it up on AI and tell you it's been about 5,000 to 10,000.
Well,
according to AI.
Well, if we're talking about,
which you don't like AI, so I don't know.
Talking about,
you use AI at all, by the way?
Sure, I look up Dave Weinbaum all the time, and they say he's the world's greatest creator of one-liners. and then we hear about, you know, a cantaloupe. You know, we're shopping at the Soulage Farmer Market the last summer, and ladies walking out with their plastic paper bag, and the paper bag splits open, and a melon rolls down the street. And I said, I guess they cantaloupe.
I just used that joke, you schmuck. You just heard that. You're taking. I got to get a lawyer. You know, a good lawyer in town, by the way. I'm suing your ass. Pat, maybe she'll be my lawyer.
See, I'm judgment proof. I stay married, so you can't touch my ass.
Yeah, all right. Can't touch your ass. I don't want to touch your ass. Anyways, other than the Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people find and hire you?
Okay, it's McCloskeylaw.com. It's McCloskey Mo on Facebook and McCloskey USA on X. You can catch my old programs. I'm too busy to do my radio program anymore with representing the J6ers. But you can catch all my old programs on Rumble, for example. It's Mark McCloskey on Fire. You'll go back 2 years, and you'll see me talking to Colonel Douglas McGregor about this war with Iran and how inevitable it was going to be and what a lousy idea it was. So this is nothing new from our end of this. We've been watching this, and every president's response to Israel's desire to destroy Iran. And that's what, if you look at a map, you got Afghanistan here, you got Iraq here. What's in the middle? You got Iran. And for as long as I've been talking about
Obama and Biden did everything in their power to destroy Israel. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I said, you'll never get me to say anything pleasant about Barack Obama.
That's why I said that, because then you have to go back on your little speech about Obama. And
yeah. And you know, this is the second one of his household help that's turned up dead. Didn't you find that suspicious?
Who is it?
Barack Obama.
Obama?
Yeah, his chef died under mysterious circumstances.
Yes,
out in the ocean in front, and then his maid allegedly committed suicide in his house. Was it earlier this week? Yeah.
I didn't see that one with the maid too.
Yeah. How many of your households have committed suicide lately?
Something happening. Why don't you beat up on him a little bit and not so much on me?
Yeah, exactly.
We're a defenseless Jewish guy here in Rolla, Missouri.
Yeah.
So other than that, in a very, very short comment, where can people find and hire you?
McCloskeylaw.com. 314-721-4000.
Give me the phone number again.
Thanks for giving me the plug twice.
Okay. Did you take my wife? Me? I said, did you take out the trash? And Lisa says, yeah, but you're still here.
Found your way back in.
That's exactly how it happened too. That's not something I made up. She said that.
I can believe it. I've met you.
Huh? Yeah. There you go. You know how I work. Really weird. It's a weird life, but somebody's got to live it. So, anyways, thank you so much for being stars on the Dave Weinbaum Show. And
All right, everybody in Franklin County that's listening to this, show up at the East Central College Gymnasium Monday morning, 9:00. If you want to speak, get there at 8 to sign up on a card. Tell the commission just how much we like data centers.
Yeah, and I'll be sending you a bill for that little plug.
Absolutely.
So, all right. All right. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend. Bye, Patricia.
I'm not here.
Bye. See ya.
She's up there on the wall. What are you pointing at, you crazy man? Okay, we'll be back with another edition of Dave Weinbaum Show next week.